music to the noise, yeah, the mess we make. Machine pun Kelly, get caught in the fake. Facts and logic with a twist of jest. Strip it down to truth, yeah, forget the rest. Human blood pulls the lights right out of the park. Look beyond the shadows that set the dark. Sparks of laughter fire up the night, bringing clarity where they blur the fight. Cut through the chaos, yeah, the tangled lies. Steampunk Kelly with a set of clear eyes. Truths and jokes gonna rock this show. Step into light where the real facts glow.
Hello, and welcome to the Punch Show. Hope you're having a wonderful day. We only got one more day to 2025, and then we're on to 2026, which will be even worse than 2025, and so on and so forth. Just like the last decade, where it seems like every year seems to be worse than the last. But oh well, at least we're still alive. So, it looks like Donald Trump wants to start a war with Venezuela. It looks like everybody wants to more or less ignore it because, some Somalians committed fraud. I just feel like, I pointed out that Donald Trump committed fraud too. And Rick Scott committed fraud. But for some reason, when rich white people commit fraud, there's not all the angst and anger and anxiety over it. It's only when poor black people commit fraud that they have an issue. But when rich white people do it, it's fine. And when rich white people start wars to distract from children being raped, that's fine. But whatever. It's like they have this notion that if we think, like, if we point out, hey, there's fraud also here, that means we're defending the fraud from the Somalians. No, it doesn't. I think everybody that committed fraud should go to jail. I just don't think that should be excluded to only black people that committed fraud that go to jail. I think Donald Trump should go to jail. We're spending about the three frauds that have already been prosecuted, by the way, with all the convictions. I know they're coming up with these new imaginary numbers, about $8 billion, but the ones that have actually been proven and are about $1 billion, which is about what we're spending on Donald Trump's airplane. So awesome, dude. I'm glad. And I don't blame you. I'd be tired of politics too if I weren't having to live through it. Okay. Well, thank you. They can have America. They can have America, huh? Who's they? Anyway, I just think that, everybody that committed fraud should be in jail. And I think that the selective angst on this is telling. It's like, why weren't you complaining about it 3 years ago when it started getting prosecuted? Why is it all of a sudden now it's really important? Because they haven't been proven. And if it is $8 billion or $9 billion like they're saying, then fine, it's $8 or $9 billion like they're saying, and they should be prosecuted. I'm not trying to defend anybody here, but I'm also trying to stay within the realm of what is reality. And all we know is that one guy said that it could be half of all the money that was spent on Medicaid in Minnesota, which I find hard to believe. Like I'm just suspicious about that, and I need more than a single sentence uttered by a single person before I jump on that. So it's not a defense of anything. It's just an acknowledgement that right now we don't have any substance to that number other than one statement by one attorney that also happens to be Trump shill. And you're bigger fish to fry. And that's also a point. Like right now, we're starting a war with Venezuela. That's going to cost more than $1 billion. I'm sorry. Donald Trump's airplane is going to cost us more than $1 billion. All this selective outrage over Somalia after it's already been prosecuted because some twit with a camera went around and like pounded on doors demanding to be let inside. These people don't know what an investigation. Which people don't know what an investigation is? I know that the people that were walking around just pounding on a door and demanding to be let inside don't know what an investigation is. Kermit the Frog. I hope they win Venezuela. He tried to convict Letitia James. LOL. Case dismissed. So is Comer's case. Or Comey. I always get them mixed up. Comey. Is it Comey or Comer? Praying for Venezuela. There's going to be a lot more innocent people that die in Venezuela. And so, James Comey, thank you, BC. So anyway, with that little small introduction, I want to talk a little bit, or actually a lot of bit about AI today. And I think this is a fascinating subject to me. And I think, we can maybe get some nonpartisan conversation going on here, because I think that there's a lot good about AI. I think there's some things that are very concerning about AI, and some things that are downright terrifying about AI if you start looking at the economic picture. So, as I am, as they say, wont to do, I made a dashboard for this to talk about AI, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I'm going to talk about like the good things that can come out of it, the bad things that can come out of it, and, especially when it relates to the economy, the really, really ugly things that can come out of it. Oh, hey, how you doing there? Oh, this is my favorite overcompensator right there. He's like overcompensating so much he has to call himself Big Dick Rick 7. Like, not just Big Dick or Big Rick, Big Dick Rick. Super overcompensating. All right. So there's a war going on here. Anyway, let's talk about AI. I'll join this comment section for a while. Actually, I'm going to have to go over to my tab here. So if I'll come back and forth, but anything you say while I'm over there, I won't see. So I'll catch up when I get back. Let me just make sure I don't have a comment stuck in there. Okay. So the good AI, the good, the bad, and the ugly, beyond the hype, a data-driven look at artificial intelligence. So let's look at the good first. We'll start with the good. We need some good. The good, AI's transformative potential. Let's just first look at healthcare and drug discovery. There's this company called AlphaFold, cracking the protein. DeepMind's AlphaFold solved a 50-year-old grand challenge in biology, predicting how proteins fold into 3D shapes from their amino acid sequences. So what happens is they make these amino acids sequences, and then they kind of fold up into these proteins. But what the proteins are has been like, it's been hard to predict how they do this. And the AI has like really succeeded in doing this. It's predicted over 200 million protein structures. And this, like, to get one was taking like months or even years to get one protein. And now we've got it like 200 million that AI has done. So like, obviously that's like 50 million years or 200 million years it would take to do that with just people. So there is, especially when it comes to these computational things, it's really amazing what it can do. And so you might be thinking, as I was when I first encountered this, the who cares, right? Like, who cares about predicting proteins? What's the value in that? So let's look at that. What it actually does, AlphaFold accelerates one critical step in research, understanding protein structures. It doesn't automatically design drugs or cure diseases, but it removes a major bottleneck that it previously took years. So when it's predicting proteins, it makes it easier to target identification. AI analyzes genomic, how do you say that? Genomic data sets to identify which proteins pathways to target. Compound design, AI generates and screens candidate molecules, reducing millions of options to thousands. Optimization, AI refines molecules for efficacy, absorption, and safety before synthesis. And clinical trial design, AI identifies optimal patient populations and dosing schedules. So what all this means is that when it's predicting these proteins, it can actually help develop medicines, and not just develop medicines in general, even develop medicines for particular types of genomes, particular types of hereditary diseases, and it can help implement how to test those and how to dose those and all kinds of stuff. Like, it can just take years off of finding cures for certain diseases, and Alzheimer's, and like traditional drug developments take 10 to 15 years and cost like billions of dollars, $2.6 billion, and have a 90% failure rate. With AI acceleration rate, it can take 7 to 10 years, cut the time in half, and lower the cost and lower the failure rate. So you still need to do the testing and everything. Like, you can't just replace that part of it. But in terms of just being able to come up with medications that can treat diseases and figure out how the best way to implement those medications and to try those and improve efficiency in testing and all of that kind of stuff, AI it can be really helpful in that. So like, do I have things like misfolded proteins. This is, back to the folded proteins thing. Misfolded proteins cause Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, cystic fibrosis. AlphaFold helps research understand these mechanisms, so it can help us solve all of those kinds of issues, which are, pretty huge. So there's some kind of war going on in the comments section on YouTube here. But anyway, I just that is pretty fascinating. Like, how much we can advance in our understanding of medicine. And then this is the thing that I found interesting about it, is like a lot of the concerns about AI have to do with climate change and environmental things. And there are legitimate things about that are a concern, but there's also things where it's doing to improve climate and efficiency. So, for instance, there's a 10 to 20% reduction in energy waste through smart grid optimization using AI. Material science, AI is discovering better batteries, solar panels, carbon capture materials. So ways to store and contain energy, even to like increase what we can store, so that what we capture from solar and wind can help be sustained when the solar and the wind aren't there. Traffic optimization is really cool. They're having, like in China with cars and 5G and AI combined, they're making it so that you can like all the cars communicate with each other and the traffic lights and everything together, and that's actually reducing traffic congestion by 20%, which is eliminating like billions of tons of carbon from the atmosphere. Then even just in terms of understanding climate change, it's helping us improve our prediction and planning for climate impacts, both long-term and short-term. In terms of agriculture, this one is cool. AI transforms farming from blanket coverage to targeted application, dramatically reducing waste. So like in traditional farming, they just like take a tractor or a sprinkler or whatever, and they just cover the whole field. Like they'll cover the whole field with pesticide. They'll cover the whole field with water. They'll cover the whole field with fertilizer. The AI precision is based on what the actual plant needs. So they'll have soil sensors and weather AI optimize irrigation timing and location. So it's like based on the weather reports and what's expected, and based on what the moisture of the actual soil that those plants are in, it'll regulate how much watering needs to be done. And it might not be the same for the whole field. Might be on this part of the field you need more water, and on that part of the field you need less water. And so it will have the tractors that will run along. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but I used to see them all the time in North Dakota. They'd have these like big, long, these tractors with long pipes coming out of it, and then the sprinklers. So it was pretty cool. And they'd also run for pesticides and stuff like that. But they'll program those so that they'll be synced up with 5G, and they'll only water where the water needs to be watered. And so you won't have some plants that are overwatered and some plants that are underwatered. And that will, one, it will save water, and number two, it will actually increase efficiency of the farm. So every like crops productivity will be better. And yeah, so somebody's like, too much fertilizer will burn the roots. I found that one out the hard way. Yeah, exactly. And so that's like one of the reasons that it'll improve efficiency is like it won't add fertilizer where it's not needed. They'll have like these sensors inside the soil that will tell the tractor exactly how much that part of the soil needs. They also have I think what is it, targeted pest control. They'll have computer vision identifies disease plants and do spot treatment. So they'll only apply the pesticide on the plants that have pests, and it'll be targeted. So as soon as they start seeing this is infected, then they'll stop doing the pesticide, which will mean a lot less pesticide being dispersed, which will mean, you know, that's a lot better for everybody, including the environment. Same thing with weed management. John Deere AI tractors identify individual weeds and spray only those plants. So it's not like just this blanket herbicide. That's going to result in up to 90% herbicide reduction, 30 to 40% pesticide reduction, 15 to 20% reduction in fertilizer, and 20 to 30% less water use. So, I mean, when you factor that across the world and all the products that are being used in the world, that's a lot of benefit to the globe. And it's also a lot more food, which will help with hunger. The Internet International's undefeated. I don't know what that means, Heidi. Mushroom planting cure your soils. I think that not sure how that works with commercial farming. I tried gardening. I did it for like 2 years, and my first year I did okay. My second year I just basically grew a bunch of weeds. I do not have a green thumb. My T is 18 plus chat. I'd hate to think a grown adult male is typing this kind of stuff. I don't know. So I think that's what's up. I'm back. Hey, How you doing there, Rainbow? Missed you yesterday. Uh, what are we talking about? We are talking about AI. And we're talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of AI. And first, right now, we're in the midst of talking about like how it's actually in some ways good for the environment. We'll talk about how it's bad for the environment in a minute. But there are some real good things like the improving in agriculture and uh carbon emissions from these, like traffic control stuff. Uh and also in terms of accessibility and education. Like I don't know if you've ever had to try to talk to somebody that doesn't speak English, but man, having your phone there and you can just speak in English. Like I don't know, did anybody watch Pluribus? Pluribus is a good show, by the way, if you haven't watched it. But they like end up talking to each other on the Google Translate. Like it makes translation so much easier. My dad, his wife is Portuguese or is Brazilian. She speaks Portuguese. She doesn't speak much English, but we've been able to communicate with her every time they come to visit just by using that Google Translate thing. It's really cool. Yes, we'll get to the noise and regular pollution these data centers. So like this is the AI, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So right now we're talking about the good part, the AI pollution and all of that kind of stuff we'll talk about in the bad part, and then we'll talk about the way that it's propping up our economy and sending us possibly into a recession if that bubble bursts, and the ugly part. Yep, we'll get into that in a second. One thing about the energy it uses, though, that I think is interesting is it's also by looking by analyzing how energy is used and stuff. It's also in some places actually saving energy, but it's also using energy, and we'll get to that in the bad part. Like I'm definitely talking about the bad part. There's also a good part, so you guys gotta wait for the bad part. I promise it's coming. AI can also be used negative. Yes, and we've got that too in the bad part. So everybody wants to get to the bad part. I was trying to be positive here and start with the good part, but we're almost done. But AI tutors personalized education at scale, adapting to individual learning styles, which is cool. Accessibility tools, vision and hearing assistance for people with disabilities, and even dangerous work automation, like being able to do some work that humans would have to do that is dangerous, and it's like a lot less dangerous if humans don't have to do it. But AI is a tool amplifying human capability and removing barriers, not replacing human judgment or creativity. Well, not entirely anyway. But there are actual real benefits to AI. That's what I'm saying. And like any tool, like fire or chainsaws, they can be used for good or for bad. But now we will talk about the bad, as I promised. I'm not going to gloss over the bad part. Actually, the bad part and the ugly part are where we're going to spend more of our time. Peter Thiel sure wouldn't mind. Oh, Peter Thiel. I might have to do a show just on Peter Thiel someday. He is a real piece of work. Okay, somebody. Oh, wow. I'm sorry. That's cool that you have your notifications on for me. Hey, by the way, if you're watching and you're not subscribed to my channel, please give that like a little subscribe there. I could really use some subscriptions. Anyway, I got over 5,000 yesterday, so thanks to those of you who have been subscribing. I really appreciate that. My end of the year goal is 5,000 subscribers, and I got it like with a couple of days to spare. So anyway, the bad. So what are the hidden costs? As where did you go? The Julie pointed out. One of the bad things is it uses a lot of electricity. about 200 plus terawatt hours, which is basically annual. That's the annual electricity consumption by data centers worldwide. To put that in perspective, the entire country of Argentina uses 130 terawatts. Netherlands uses 110 terawatts. Global data centers use 200, and Thailand's total electricity use is 195. So this, like, just data centers use more electricity than the entire country of Thailand. Remember when Donald Trump said Thailand, and then Dinesh went like to war with all of Twitter for like a week, insisting that's the way it's pronounced outside of the country? Anyway, it's Thailand. It's not Thailand. But AI uses more electricity than the entire country of Thailand. So that's a lot of electricity. The water is coming next there, Julie. We got water for you. Talking to AI, calling my insurance provider is unpleasant AF. Yeah. I have a confession to make, Brett. My father-in-law, his claim to fame, although it's not really a claim, and I should say his claim to infamy, he's actually the one that invented the touch tone call centers where you like press 1 for this, press 5 for that. Like back in the 70s or something, he invented that. So I give him a hard time about that all the time. This year data centers in the US used as much as the entire bottled water. Yes, that's a fact. So here, we'll just finish with the electricity first, and then we'll get, see, there you go. There's water consumption for cooling. Household equivalent 200 terawatt hours could power approximately 19 million US homes for a full year. That's every household in California plus the state of Illinois combined. So that's a lot of electricity. When you see the price of electricity going up, understand that is the reason why. And we can add a bunch more clean energy, but if we're just using it all up right away, it doesn't really benefit us that much. And as we're going to get to next, there's also the water issue, which is, as Julie would agree, the water issue we haven't really touched on as much. Sorry. I'm always drinking water because I have reflux, and I start refluxing, and the water helps it. AI data centers alone projected to use 85 to 134 terawatt hours by 2027, adding another Argentina-sized electricity demand in just a few years. So this is something that's only going to get worse. Hey, all right, Nikola Tesla, baby, free energy. Hey there, Kitty. How you doing? You guys know Kitty. She was on the show last week. She was the one that everybody says was cooler than me. And I won't disagree with that. Okay, so water. Water 5 to 7 liters water consumed per kilowatt hour in some data center facilities. If you want to know what that means, it means like every time you go on ChatGPT and do a little search query, that's the equivalent of a bottle of water. It uses a lot of water, and it's not that the water is exhausted and will never return to the earth, but it is temporarily removed from the environment. And when it comes back to earth, it's warmer, and it affects the actual ecosystem and the actual climate. So it's bad. Okay, here we go. Google search equals 0.2 milliliters of water. GPT conversation. This is the one I was thinking of. 500 milliliters of water, a standard water bottle. So every conversation you have with ChatGPT is like a bottle of water. AI, that's just for ChatGPT. AI queries use 2,500 more water than traditional searches. So 2,500 times as much water. Sorry, I have got to get better at reading these things. ChatGPT conversations cost 2,500 times as much water as just a standard Google search. To get more information, and Google now, it's like if you just do a standard Google search, it gives you the stupid ChatGPT conversation anyway. Training models, GPT-3 estimated about 700,000 liters, enough to fill 1/3 of an Olympic swimming pool. That's just for the training model. That's the annual drinking water for 1,000 people, almost. Microsoft's AI expansion, water use increase up 34% year over year from 2021 to 2022. And of course, we're in 2025. Direct correlation with AI infrastructure growth. And this is like, especially in water stressed regions like Arizona and now in Texas and in California, you've got places where water is being sucked up that they don't have water to suck up, you know? Take fluoride out of water. I don't know what relevance that has. I only have 53, but I don't try to do videos. Yeah, I try to do videos. ChatGPT is a joke. The worst part is AI is starting to be everywhere. You can't avoid it, even if you wanted to. Yeah, I mean it's like that's not a battle we're gonna win. It's there. And it's not even, that most people want it. Most people are embracing it. There are good things that come from it, but we can mitigate the damage it does. And we need to be more focused on that. I spend more time hearing apologies from ChatGPT and Google Gemini for the mistakes they make. After all, they're just consolidating human typed info into finds on the web. Yes. Yeah, AI cannot improve on what goes into it. It's like if it's stupid in, it will be stupid out. Like, and I don't know if anybody's noticed this. If anybody's on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, and you've got you've got public grok and you've got private grok, like to where like grok is if you're just talking to grok one-on-one versus if you ask grok a question that's on a public post. Public grok and private grok often don't agree with each other. Public grok is a right winger, and private grok is a left winger. And so I even one time, just for kicks, I had grok arguing with grok, and he would be in a public thing, and then he would tell me something, and then I'd quote that, and then I'd ask private grok, what do you think about this? And then he would give me a rebuttal, and I'd copy that and I'd paste it back in, and then I would ask public grok. I didn't tell grok he was arguing with himself, but it was pretty funny because he was arguing with himself, and liberal grok was winning the argument, by the way. AI's not a bad thing. It's the failure of politics properly preparing us for the future, aka energy. I think there's a big amount of truth to that. I think it needs to be regulated, and it needs to be I just I don't think we can put this particular toothpaste back into the tube even if we wanted to. And there is benefits, and there's really, really bad things that can come of it. We're gonna actually, that's next up, Kitty. It's like you guys are just like anticipating everything right before they come. So e-waste from hardware obsolescence. This is another thing is because AI has to stay at the forefront. The AI arms race drives unprecedented hardware turnover. Companies retire GPUs not because they're broken, but because they're slower than the last generation. because everybody's got to have like the fastest AI possible to keep up with the arms race, right? And so it's like they'll come up with this CPU and spend all this money on it, and it'll last for like 18 to 24 months, and then when the next thing comes out, they just get rid of the other stuff, and all of that includes a lot of like rare earth minerals and stuff like that that just end up being wasted. Meta's AI infrastructure, 350,000 plus NVIDIA GPUs as of 2024. That's a lot of GPUs. Single GPU weight is 2 to 5 pounds of rare earth metals and toxic materials. So that's what? Somewhere around 1 million to 2 million pounds of rare earth metals and toxic materials. What happens to all that? So that's another environmental concern, is just what do you do with all of this stuff once it's not the fastest anymore? So it creates 62 million metric tons of global e-waste in 2022. That's the weight of the 5,000 Eiffel Towers. Dang, that's a lot. Data center AI hardware represents growing share with recycling infrastructure unable to keep pace. So I don't know, like if that was not on my watch list of things, but that really does, startle me. That's a lot of waste. That's a lot of waste, and especially when we're talking about how much we need rare earth metals and stuff like that. AI centers release water back into the environment just like sewage treatment plants. Comes out warm and lifeless, and the entire ecosystem is burned out downstream. Yeah, that's what I didn't elaborate on that, but that's what I mean. Like when I say it's warm and it destroys ecosystems, it's like the water is still there, but it's not. Like fresh water has organisms in it, like microscopic organisms, and that's why like even drinking spring water is better than drinking some filtered waters. Plastics, yes, plastics. Although one of the things about like in the good section, I didn't cover, that wasn't in there, but one of the things I realized or I learned is AI is actually figuring out ways with the protein things, figuring out things that can actually decompose plastic. So some of the problems we have, it can solve, and some of the problems we're trying to solve, it actually exacerbates. So this is the whole craziness of it all. Free Diddy, okay. That's an opinion. Distilled water takes minerals from your bones. It does. Wow, I did not know that. Interesting. I have a whole home water filter. I don't do the distilled water. I will stick to animal products. I love me some good animal. I would be a vegetarian, but I like animal. I like butter. I like milk. I like ice cream. I like a hamburger. But all of that's bad for the environment too. So whatever. All right. So misinformation and the erosion of truth. This is the next thing. So like there's the environmental thing, and then I'll say like the socially environmental thing that becomes also a massive issue. One thing is like deep fakes and synthetic media. Did you know if you go and look at the results of the 2024 election, the number one thing, like you go and you look at, they've actually done studies on this. The more disinformation you believed in, the more likely you were to vote for Trump. That's just a fact. Like people that would say and not these aren't opinion things about do you think the economy is good or bad. Would be things like is unemployment better or worse than it was in 2020? And, in 2020, it was like 8% or something. And in 2024, it was near record lows. It was around like 4%, even less than 4% for a big part of the year. But a lot of people that voted for Trump thought it had actually gotten worse than it was in 2020. So, like, just things that were objectively wrong. And they, so all these things were objective realities. They weren't opinions. And people that voted for Trump were more likely to believe in objectively wrong things. And that was the number one indicator of people that voted for Trump, is that they just believed things that weren't true. So AI generated so what are some of the visual evidence undermined? Realistic fake videos and images make it harder to verify authentic content. It's not just the damage that deepfakes do. It's also, along with that, there's the damage that happens when people, and this would even happen, people would dismiss reality as deepfakes. And a perfect example of that is Donald Trump, when there was the big crowd at the Kamala Harris rally, and there was like the airplane or something, and they came out to the airport, and he said, "Oh, all those people weren't there. That's just deep fake." And they were actually there. But a lot of Trump supporters were, like jumped on that, and they were all like saying, "This is fake. This is fake." So there's two issues that go with the deep fakes. One is the issue that people can actually deep fake things and make people believe things are real that are not real. The other thing is people can dismiss reality as deep fake if they don't want to accept that reality. And so it just ends up with this kind of society where everybody just believes what they want to believe. And if I see this and I want to believe that, then it's true. And if I see this and I don't want to believe that, it's not true. We no longer have reality-based conversations. We have just preference-based conversations. And even in reality then becomes a matter of preference, not actually what is or is not. So all right. They need to criminalize misleading the people with words, i.e. lying. I think that they need to do something that, but I don't know exactly how you do that without infringing on free speech. But I think what they should do, and I don't know how you would implement this, but like have a bipartisan board that evaluates these things, and if it finds that you are grossly negligent or just out and out lying in a campaign ad, then however much money you spent on that campaign ad, you have to spend twice as much money in a campaign ad saying that you lied about the previous campaign ad. And the idea there is not to punish people or to get people to spend money on, like the ad saying they're lying. It's to actually put an incentive to just tell the truth. Like, you can criticize your opponents, but what you criticize them for should be real. It should not be something that you made up. And we need to balance the freedom of speech with there are speech laws against slander and against libel. And it's harder to implement those in a political atmosphere, but we need to find a balance on that, because right now we're way on the wrong end of the spectrum. Boomers just now learning about AI. I don't know what you're talking about. Who said I just learned? I'm A, not a boomer, and B, I'm not just learning about AI. Since 1964, I don't care about politics or a politician. Okay. Some boomers are very informed. Don't generalize. And I'm still not a boomer. I am Gen X, 1967. Gen X. I graduated from high school the same year Breakfast Club come out. I am like as Gen X gets. I am the heart of Gen X. Oh boy, are the geriatrics. This is 2025 GPA reality. Is that what you now am I gonna go? I have no idea what you're trying to say. No voice? I don't know. Agree. You don't want to go down the path of totally censoring free speech. All right. So let's go back to so there's AI generated propaganda and I mean just slop period everywhere. Synthetic identities, impersonation, and fraud becoming nearly undetectable. And I don't know where this is at, but I just think about like, catfishing and how much people were scammed out of that. With synthetic identities, I mean, it's like a lot of people are probably going to end up getting sapped out of their money. Just like on personal fraud things. Election interference, fabricated videos of candidates, fake endorsements, manipulated speeches. And we saw that in 2024. It was really bad in 2024. And we saw like the dismissals of it. What was remember the pictures of Donald Trump posing with, like all the black voters that were AI votes? I think I even, let me see if I can. What's this? Yeah, remember that? Yeah, like that really happened. So anyway, you get like these AI things. Good God, geriatrics and AI. It's bad enough. Boomer mega trolls learn how to put crown emojis in Trump 28, and that's insufferable. All right. The double-edged sword. As deepfakes become more convincing, people don't just fall for fake content. They start dismissing real news as deepfakes, which is when they don't like it. This creates a world where nothing can be trusted, and truth becomes whatever people want to believe. Politicians caught on video doing something wrong just claim it's a deepfake. Damaging auto recording. Deepfake. Photographic evidence. Deepfake. Technology doesn't enableize it, provides plausible deniability for actual wrongdoing. Does anybody seriously, like, how many of you, I can't be the only one. How many of you have, like, thought if anything damaging comes from the Epstein files, that it's just going to be dismissed as deepfake by anybody that doesn't want to believe it? Like, there's going to be so many deep fakes that come out of the Epstein files that aren't deep fakes. You can't just dismiss reality because you don't like it. But we're enabling people to have that sense that I don't like this, therefore it's a deep fake, because people are actually doing deep fakes. I think we should I think they did try making deep fakes a crime, but then again, you're still like, it's hard to know where to draw the lines around these things. Like, yeah, alternative facts. It's what they want. They want confusion. And especially, like, I call this sycophantasy, where it's like, the sycophants, they latch on to this fantasy version of Trump, like to where he's ripped with a six-pack, riding around on the back of a unicorn with a flaming sword, and like he's going to go, destroy all the liberals or whatever. And they see Trump as this superhero type figure or like a Rambo type figure, or, he's an astronaut or whatever. They always try to picture Trump in these like fake, AI pictures as being like this super ripped buff guy with, like real hair instead of just like a ear hair comb over. And they always try to make him seem like something he isn't, because I think in their mentality, I think it's also how they see his presidency. Like, they don't see his actual presidency as what it really is. What they see his presidency as is the greatest president ever, because he said he's the greatest president ever. Like they don't actually look at the substance. They don't actually look at where things are at with the actual economy, what he has actually done, what tariffs are actually doing, how tariffs are actually causing price increases. It's just so much easier to say, Trump's the greatest president ever. And so I call this, sycophantasy. They're so deep into being sycophants that they have this fantasy version of Trump that they think is the real Trump. See, so who wants to deregulate AI? Ask yourselves why. Yeah, the people that have a lot of money tend to. We're going to get into that pretty soon. Vance Trump 2028 Trump. Yeah, that's not going to happen. This is like an actual unconstitutional ticket you're talking about, unless you're talking about a different Trump. Those mock-ups are disgusting. They are, and they're kind of like juvenile. Looks like he's defeating you right now. How does it look like he's defeating me right now? Trump 2028. Ayo. Omar married her. No, she never married her. Oh, yeah. Omar married her ex-husband. Yes. Never her brother. That whole thing is so stupid. If her second husband, she had a husband, she divorced him, she married a second husband, she divorced him, she married her first husband again. The second husband was not her brother. There's no evidence that he was her brother. There is absolutely nothing other than right-wing propaganda to say he was her brother. And the whole logic behind why she married him was that he could become a citizen. Number one, she was like 14 years old, and she would have had to be like planning all of this when she was like a refugee in Somalia at 14, and they had this master plan to come over here, and 15 years later, like marry him. Secondly, the guy was a citizen of the UK. He wasn't like he needed to become a US citizen. And number three, she could have brought him over as a citizen as her brother. She didn't need to marry him. So this whole thing about her marrying her brother is just stupid people saying stupid things and believing stupid things because they insist on being stupid. So don't be stupid. Don't talk about Omar marrying her brother. All right? And I am including you, Mr. Trump. Okay, he's for sure doing a number on you, if nothing else. Well, he's not really. After school, how many? I wonder how many times you said, "Let's go, Brandon," and like all these MAGAs that act like they just sat there and cheered for the country while Biden was president. It's like, get a life, dude. Okay, after school, the daycare is open 2 to 10 p.m. He went early in Minnesota. I don't know what you're talking about. It's like sport team worship. It is. It is. Trump is actually, no, he's, okay, who's the second greatest? If Trump is the greatest, tell me who is the second greatest. You do know that Biden kept Trump's tariffs. He kept some of Trump's tariffs and added some of his own. Yes. He did not do what Trump is doing right now. That's why Trump is doing it. Like, this is a bad faith discussion right now, because all of that, the first tariffs were just like if some on China, and by the way, ended up being bad. Gas is not $1.89 a gallon. And gas has nothing to do with the president. Trump can be the vice president. No, he can't. Elon did marry her brother. No, she did not. Omar did marry her brother. No, she did not. They consummated it too. Well, she consummated her marriage with her husband, but her husband was not her brother. MTG said it. If they release the Epstein files, it will hurt my friends. Well, that's what Trump said. MTG was quoting Trump, what Trump said. Omar, by the way, with MTG, like, I'm not ready to give in on her whole apology tour. It's like, or all this hostility is ruining. It's like, if you believe that, go apologize to David Hogg. That will be the first indication to me that you are sincere. You hunted down a kid that just graduated from high school, who was shot at while he was in high school, whose friends were murdered while he was in high school, and you accused him of fabricating the whole thing so that you could have like viral videos for your election. You're a horrible person. And until you apologize for that horrible, horrible thing you did, you are a horrible person. And I will not give you any benefit of the doubt on, oh, now that the leopard's eating my face, it's bad. Well, sorry. When you were the leopard eating faces, you didn't complain. He was fit to lead. You said Donald Trump is fit to lead. Deport Reagan. Okay, so why was Donald Trump better than Reagan? Compare Ronald Reagan's fiscal policy with Ronald Reagan's, and then compare his immigration policy with Ronald Reagan. Show me you know what you're talking about. Like, actually show me you understand the actual comparison, other than you're just repeating stupid things. Because I don't think you understand. I don't think you have any apprehension at all of American history. I think you just say what somebody that is a Republican that doesn't wants to pretend that W never happened. Yeah, so Brett, yeah, that's JFK. Okay, compare JFK to Trump. Compare their policies. Like, what makes Trump better than JFK? Like, give me a substantive argument. Trump versus JFK. The party of the pregnant man theory is telling us not to be stupid. No, the party of acknowledging trans people exists. Okay. Then we're in agreement. I see 6 bots already blown their rerun slogans off the channel. Nixon is the second greatest crooked president. Okay, compare Nixon's. Although I think you might be being facetious. So anyway, this is ironic. Like I was saying, the most misinformed voters are Republicans. Or I shouldn't say Republicans. The most misinformed voters objectively voted for Trump. All right, we're getting into this stupid. Okay, yes, in Oklahoma, gas might be under $2 in some places, but that's not what you don't compare gas in Oklahoma right now at a discounted rate at like some sort of like with your special super K card or whatever, with the highest price premium gas in California. That's not how you do it. The national price of gas is down about a dime from January. And again, the price of gas has zero to do with presidential policy usually. The only thing that has happened is that the international price of oil went down. And the international price of oil went down because OPEC Plus started producing more oil. And they produced more oil specifically to drive the price of gas, or the price of oil down. And they wanted to drive the price of oil down because actually it hurts America to have the price of crude oil go up, because we also export oil, but our oil is harder to refine, more expensive to refine. So that actually makes people want to buy the cheaper oil. His energy initiative is what brought prices down. No, there's nothing whatsoever that he has done to bring prices down. Energy initiatives, just saying the word energy. What energy initiative? What has he done? Like, we're not producing more oil. We're not producing more renewable energy because of him. He has not done a single thing to drive the price of energy down. And the price of energy is actually going up, not down. Like, please, at least do a Google search before you say something stupid on my channel. So, all right. She gets credit for seemingly doing the right thing now just because she didn't get what she wanted out of it. Right. I agree. Don't worry, Mr. Oklahoma. The gas company will ask Trump to create an artificial shortage the way he did in 2020, which is true. He kind of asked OPEC Plus to limit the amount of oil. But that's the main difference in gas prices right now and like a few years ago, is just how much oil OPEC Plus is producing. It has nothing at all to do with Reagan or with Trump. You do know that the United... Yes, I know that we're exporting more oil than any other country. I know that we were doing so under Biden too. Did you know that? I bet you didn't know that. I bet you thought that oil production went down under Biden because you heard that from Fox News or whatever your right-wing favorite right-wing host says. Was the U.S. better under Biden? Yes, it was, objectively. Trump is a pedophile and MAGA lovers. All right, so let's go back to angry boomers gonna boom angrily. Ha ha. Okay, yeah, well. But that was a new marathon. What is a marathon? Do you mean marathon? Like a gas station? I don't know what a marathon is. Trump is king. He sure does want to be. Ronald Reagan told Gorbachev, tear down the wall. Donald Trump helped Putin steal land. And Donald Trump said, build up this wall. All right. So let's go back to the topic of the day and go back to the AI. All right. Labor disruption. This is, so, there's the whole reality distortion shield thing going on. And then there's labor disruption. There's all kinds of people whose jobs are being lost, that are being replaced with automation. And that can be, ironically, on manufacturing, as well as some other things like, writing. But did you know that manufacturing jobs have actually gone down this year? Like, all these tariffs were supposed to gin up a manufacturing production, but it's actually gone down. Google it if you don't believe me. Wage suppression, creative fields, writing, art, voice acting, seeing income decline as AI substitutes proliferate. So, like, what's happening is they're stealing the actual writings of people to simulate writing, and then the people that are getting laid off and losing their jobs are getting hired in lower paying jobs to train AIs how to do the job that they used to do. And so now, like, those creative jobs become uncreative. They become depressing as hell. And I know, because that's what happened to me. And they go from, like, well-paying jobs to, not well-paying jobs. My income got more than cut in half. I went from getting $54 an hour to getting $21 an hour. So, kind of sucks. That was before I got laid off from that job for getting long COVID. Anyway, so there's wage suppression, there's gig economy acceleration, more workers pushed into precarious algorithmic managed jobs. And so, like, there's places like Mercer. Well, I don't know why I still got this comment up there. Not that it's a bad comment or anything, just not relevant. So there's these places like Mercer where they, all these new AI companies are trying to train their AIs, and they need to get people to come and train their AIs. And so they, like Mercer hires people, and they'll like have 200 people come, and they'll run through all these tasks, and like they'll have a job for like 1 month or 2 months, and then they'll be let go because the AI is trained now and it's ready to move forward. So you get a lot of these kind of gig workers where it's like you get a job for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months maybe, and then you're looking for work again, and then there's no stability to that. Then and it's just like, as you get these jobs from like what used to be permanent jobs to being replaced by gig workers, and then these people that had permanent jobs doing this gig work, it creates an instability in the economy. And you're also going to start, like, nobody's going to become writers anymore. You're going to lose technical writers. You're going to lose musicians, and you're going to lose people that you're taking away their source of income. And so you're also that becomes no longer a source of income. You're going to lose people doing that in the future. So you're going to lose creativity. You're going to lose originality. You're going to lose like the things that make humanity. It's like incredibly distorting. And so I think one of the things we need to look at is like not just how to use AI, but how to not use AI. And it's terrible. It's terrible what this does. Then there's privacy and surveillance. Somebody had mentioned this before. Facial recognition enabling authoritarian control and mass surveillance. Like, I think they're already into like doing these things where they're looking into how to identify protesters. Like, why do you need to identify protesters? You got ICE agents wearing their mask, but they're trying to use facial recognition to identify protesters. Why? Like, is this the America that you want? Is this the America you talk about preserving from tyranny? Data harvesting, training AI on personal data collected without meaningful consent. Like, you type a blog, and not everybody has the money to, sue and, like say, hey, you stole my writing, or even the ability to know that this AI is scraping the thing you wrote or scraping your music to invent its own music, which is just, a repurposed version of your music. Algorithmic discrimination, biased AI systems making decisions without hiring, lending, policy, policing. Like, I've had some job interviews where it's AI, like AI does the interview. It's not even like real people doing the interview, and it's just AI interviewing real people to do an AI job that a real person used to do. And I've heard people say, well, this is just the way technology always goes. Technology replaces new jobs, but this is funneling jobs. It's taking 100 jobs and turning it into 5 jobs. That's one of the big advantages of it, supposedly, at least to the investors. So what does that leave the other 95 people? Like, it's actually we're reducing the number of jobs we have, which is going to hurt the economy. Tech consolidation, power concentrating among small number of companies with AI capabilities. All right. So that leads us into the ugly part. But first, let me go back here and look through, catch up with the comments. Okay. Biden didn't even know where. Okay. None of that is true. Like, Biden knew where he was. And it's like that whole mythology around Biden not knowing what was going on, it's just not true. Trump dodged the bullet. Trump didn't die like JFK, he won. Trump wants to remove Kennedy's name completely from Kennedy Center. Trump is insane. Ronald Reagan negotiated a treaty to reduce mid-range nuclear weapons. Donald Trump canceled that treaty. Pro-lifer. Donald Trump helped Putin proliferate nuclear weapons. I'm delusional, I guess. Trump is the worst president ever. I actually disagree with that. Trump is the two worst presidents ever. Everything is more expensive in liberal cities and states. I don't know how true that is. I don't think. I know that on the whole, liberal cities and states also make a lot more money than red states. 465 for gas in Hawaii. Dream on. Yeah, because comparing Hawaii gas prices to Texas or Oklahoma gas prices is totally honest, right? Like Donald Trump had a fake assassination attempt. Gas is expensive where nobody lives. Shock and awe. It's also like, I mean, the fact that, gas is cheaper where oil is, I mean, what is the national price of gas? I'm just going to Google that right now. If you want to, is right now $2.83 according to AAA. And what was it in a year ago? It was $3.02. So it's down about 20 cents from last year. So it is down, but it that nothing to do with Trump or Biden. It's just, and it's not like massively down. You have, well, no, I just looked it up. It's 286. MAGA is a cult of ignorance. Worst states to live in are red states. If you look at like livability scores, it tends to be the blue states are better, but it's not as like all the top are blue and all the bottom are red. There's a lot of things to go into that. Well, they're out now, so what are you crying about? No, he's talking to another. Gas in Oklahoma is the same as it was last year under Biden. Yes, I don't know what yes means. Listen, stupid, Gavin Newsom made the gas high. Okay. That seems like a really cogent argument there. And whatever that means. Okay. Get new glasses, butt plug gas is way down everywhere. The price of gas affects everything. Cry harder, bitch. Well, that's not true. I was just going to ask which ones. I'm sorry, I don't know. Yes, gas prices in cities tend to be higher than gas prices in rural areas. That has always been the case. It has nothing to do with it has to do with how many people are there. 2 more years of you crying than 8 years of JD Vance. Okay, gas is 230. No, it's 286. Kopi, okay, so it's still 40. It hasn't gone down in Hawaii in the last 2 minutes. I like it when they put AI Trump in the military uniform. I mean, it's funny because he's got 5 deferments for bone spurs, 5-time draft dodger. It's like reality and Donald Trump never have to. He's the guy that said that everybody that's in the military is suckers and losers. He's the guy that threatened to disown his son because his son thought about joining the military. Funny, when it's them, they say it takes time, but when Trump is working on it, it has to be instant. I don't know what you're talking about, them and they and instant versus not. I know that Donald Trump said on day one he was going to bring prices down. I know that on day one he started talking about tariffs, which actually drove prices up. You should probably search a little better, you libtard. Okay. Okay, so here we go. All right, so right here, you see that? Today's AAA national average 283, 2.834. Price as of 12/30/25. Okay. Did I search that good enough for you? Am I not a libtard, or do you know what numbers mean? Do you read Arabic numbers? If I put them in Roman numeral numbers, would they be easier for you to understand? Okay. Then shut up. Gas is the same price in Oklahoma as it was last year under Biden. Do you think President Trump can save Minnesota? I think all of the prosecutions that have happened to the Somalians actually happened under Biden. I think the problems actually started under Trump. If you want to look at the objective reality here, all the fraud started when Trump was president. All the Trump was prosecuted while Biden was president. This is not a new thing. This didn't just happen like last night. It didn't happen when the goon with the camera, like busted open this new scandal. We don't even know that there's anything attached to that. So, no, I don't think Trump can save Minnesota, and I definitely don't think Minnesota needs saving from Trump. Trump is king. The communist dictators, Democrats, and their policies define communism. And no, gas prices did not double under Biden. We don't want him in Minnesota. Show you what? Biden give our oil reserves away. No, Biden did not give our oil reserves away. What are you talking about? He opened up the oil reserves so that we could use the oil. That's why we had them. The oil reserves are literally, and I know this is going to be hard for your MAGA brain, oil reserves are reserves of oil so that when we need oil, we have it reserved. Wow, amazing how that works. We have the oil reserves because of the gas prices in the 70s. That's when we set up the oil reserves, so that when gas prices were too high, we had a reserve of oil that we could open up and we could use. Do you think they were like exporting that oil? Come on, dude, read a history book. Trump isn't working on anything, only becoming wealthier, just like his family. There are indications he's made at least $4 billion off of this 1 year of presidency. He closed the Keystone. The Keystone pipeline wasn't producing any oil. It wasn't even finished. So no, it had absolutely zero impact. There was record oil production under Biden. Trump no more controls gas prices in the U.S. than he controls the weather. Well, Donald Trump does break wind every now and then. Please buy a box of tampons to help. Yeah. I don't know what Tim needs defense on. He hasn't done anything illegal. Siri, add this dude to my blunt rotation. I don't know what a blunt rotation is. I don't think Trump can save anybody. I don't think Trump can save himself. Well, actually, I can, because he ran for president to save himself from going to jail. More Americans today believed Donald Trump is a child molester than voted for him in 2024. Well, that would, if you have a statistic to prove that, I would love to see it. What part of Minneapolis are you in? Asking for a friend. I am not in Minneapolis, but I used to live there. I used to live near Dinkytown. I went to school at University of Minnesota. Trump said smart people don't like him. Now I know why. Most politicians are crooked and are two wings of the same dirty bird. I don't know about that. I don't get into both parties have issues, and I'm not, but they're not the same. A strong wall, whatever that means. Putin invaded under Biden. So, Senator Wyden, Senate Financed Committee, it's investigating Russia's sanctioned bank account of Epstein linked to Leon Black. I don't know what any of that means. I mean, I'm not saying that dismissively. I absolutely have no idea what you're talking about. I don't Senator Wyden. I don't even know who that is. Are you talking about Senator Whitehouse? He opens up over 1,000 oil wells. Remembering when Joe Bubbins signed a. No, none of that happened. Democrats love criminals and corruption. City, but not Twin Cities. Are you like Minnesota is not a city, dude. This trickle down economics is on steroids, and we have the data. It doesn't work. I agree. Okay, I'll take a look at it after the show. I'm kind of not able to do some research right now because I'm obviously in the middle of a podcast. Biden used 3/4 of oil reserves to help with gas prices. That's what they're there for. It's all connected. As a Minnesotan, do you feel okay with being the #1 supporter of Somalian terror groups? I'm not the #1 supporter. I mean, that's just. Are you okay with being, like a dipshit? Somalia is a bleep hole country. Somalians suck. What terror groups, or did you mean the people who chose to come here to expect a better life? Okay, just addressing this whole Somalian terrorism things, there's absolutely no evidence, even by the Trump Department of Justice, that there's any link at all between the Somali fraud and terrorist groups. Nobody has found anything. The only reason anybody is even talking about that is because Trump talks out of his butthole. Why does MAGA have to lie about everything? Because they repeat Trump. They just repeat what Trump says. And everything Trump says is a lie. So Somalia is bad. No, Somalia is neither good nor bad. It is just a country. Come here to freeload you. All right. Yeah, them and they, only 0.01% of Somalians are involved in the fraud. Did you know that the fraud was also exposed and cracked open because of Somali? I gotta learn to say Somalis. It's grew up hearing Somalian, but it's supposed to be Somali. But Somali whistleblowers are the whole reason this whole thing cracked open. So why aren't you identifying the Somali community with the people that cracked it open? 1/3 of the people in the world are Muslim. Well, that's what they say. I don't believe them. Somalia is bad. Well, so are you. Democrats are brainwashed. Yeah. You watch Fox. Quit your crying. I don't see anybody crying. All right. So is there anything intelligent here? Protesting is, but liability is not. What is the difference? That's where I think we need to find something to define. The Trump administration is now using tactics used by China and Russia. Yes, they trialed, whatever that means. Do you mean tried Kyle Rittenhouse? Well, Kyle Rittenhouse killed 2 people, and he was acquitted. So is O.J. Simpson. Get another job. There's plenty of them. Okay. Why MAGA think gas and eggs is the answer to all life problems? And that's the other thing. It's like you can talk about gas prices is down, but then ignore all the other stuff that's up. Inflation is up. And it's not only that, we have a K-shaped economy. And so the things that are up are things that poor people need more and spend more of their income on. The things that are down are things that rich people use. 50% of consumer spending right now, 50% of consumer spending is by 10%, the top 10% of people in the economy. That is like an incredibly economically unhealthy number. We look at GDP and we say consumer spending hasn't changed, but only 10% of the people are doing half of all that spending. That's really, really bad. There are people who are starving despite working. Yes, there are people that have 2 jobs and are undernourished, or what do they call that? Food poor. It's more expensive because people live there. That's generally, yeah, right, exactly. That's how things work. In fact, Trump is the 2 worst presidents ever. Yes, there you go. That's mine. All right, so we're gonna just gas in my town is $2 compared to Biden's 6. Okay. I totally believe you, dude. I believe you. I 100% believe you. That was sarcasm in case you couldn't make it out. Republicans. All right. So we're going to go back over here to the ugly, because this is the other thing. We're literally running the 1929 playbook right now. Anybody want to guess what happened in 1929? Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? All right. Yeah, that was when the stock market crashed and we had the Great Depression. We're not just repeating the mistakes that caused the Great Depression. We're repeating them while simultaneously dismantling the safety net that prevented it from happening again. So let's talk about this AI bubble. All right. If you take AI out of the picture, AI investment is like 92% of what our GDP growth is. All the money is being funneled into AI. All the investment money. It's not going into manufacturing. It's not going into job creation. It's not going to anything like that. It's going into AI. And that is making the GDP appear like it's growing, because investment is a big part of GDP. And consumption, so GDP is consumption plus investment plus government spending plus net export. Consumption is about the same, but the distribution of it is different. It is now, like I was just saying, 90%, or I'm sorry, the top 10% of the economy is now spending 50% of the money that's on consumption. That means the other 90% are only spending the other half on consumption. That means most of the economy is spending less money than they were. It's never been this severe. And I don't know if you've ever heard of a K-shaped economy, but a K-shaped economy or recovery is you've got, like, on your K, you've got like the part that goes up and you've got the part that goes down. And you've got right now the top 10% is doing better and the bottom 90% is doing worse. That's why they call it a K, because, except the other way around. I don't know. Can't figure out how to do it with my fingers. Oh, there we go. Like that. So that's the K. This part goes up, this part goes down. And right now, 90% of the economy, or the population, is actually doing worse than they were. The other 10% is doing so much better that it makes it look like, the economy is growing when it's not. And GDP is the main place where all that growth is happening. Okay, I don't know where that's been proven. All right, any gay men here? I don't know. Another low IQ host, 90% is not doing worse. Some research. No, that is research, dude. Because I said something you don't know does not mean I'm not the one who knows what I'm talking about. You do some research. Check it out. It was just done. It's just released. Look it up. 90%. The top 10% of the economy is doing 50% of consumer spending. That is unprecedented. Like, you do some research. Don't sit there from your ignorant little pedestal and then call me stupid. Do not fear for my health. I will live and die free of my shackles. So anyway, I don't know why I seem gay. My wife would be very surprised. And I also don't think that being gay is an insult. I'm just not. Uh Diaper baby Trump is taking down all guidelines that could cancel, investigate him and his stooges. Sadly, stupid people fall for this lies. Yes. So all right, now let's go back to this. So 90% of the third quarter growth was 92% of the third quarter growth was just AI investment. And I think one Harvard economist calculated that without AI, GDP growth for this year would be 0.1%. Or I'm sorry, 0.24% versus 4.6% or whatever they say it was. And that was just for the third quarter. For the full year, it's AI investment is 0.24% of it. And this also applies to the stock market. Like if you look at the stock market growth, if you take AI associated companies out of it, all of that stock market growth is in AI. If you take AI out of the stock market, then it's actually down. Everything else is down. Investment in manufacturing is down. Investment in everything else is down. It's like AI is the only thing that people are investing money in. And a lot of that has to do with Trump's trade war. Right now, it's not just that AI isn't good investment, it's that everything else is a bad investment. Because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what wild hair is going to crawl up Trump's butt one day. And he's going to say, oh, I'm going to put a tariff on Brazil because they're prosecuting a guy that committed a crime that I like. So because of that, they can't plan their economy. They can't plan their business. They can't go, okay, I need to buy steel from here, I need to buy widgets from here, and I got to buy plastic from there, or however they do it. They don't know what he's going to put a tariff on from one day to the next. And so they can't actually market anything or plan anything. And as a result, nothing is getting manufactured. That means jobs are going to start being lost. Manufacturing jobs are down. Right now, there are 100,000 fewer manufacturing jobs than there were a year ago. He's talking about, oh, he's bringing all this money in. None of that money has come in. Not a single dime that has been promised from his trade wars has been invested in America. You want to talk about that? What do they call it? Foreign FDI or something like that. Foreign dollars invested. That's down. Other countries are actually investing less money than they were last year. All of Trump's trade wars and tariffs have just hurt the country, and they doesn't, it's a little pain now for a lot of gain later. We're not seeing any gain, and we never will. I live fine on less than 10 grand a year. Okay, well, not everybody can do that. It's not even possible for some people. Democrats are pathetic, hypocrite losers. Okay. Host is gay. And by the way, if you're a Democrat, you are no better. You represent the weirdest things in the world. And Joe Biden had dementia, waving and shaking his hands in the air. That's embarrassing. Okay. I would trust my kid with any politician. I would not trust my kid with Donald Trump, especially if she was 14. I was going to say something, but I didn't. I can't do worse than being a dude named Kelly. Yes, because being a dude named Kelly just somehow, has like, what is the point of a comment like that? You don't even have the courage to tell us your real name. Please give me the detailed description of what a leftist is so I can be on the lookout. I have no idea what leftist means myself. It just seems to mean anybody that disagrees with Trump, and it's bad. Look at the lefty LARPing like his life is in chamber when the assassination. Okay, the assassinations are not all left wing. None of them are, as far as I can tell. Right wing violence is a bigger issue. Like the guy the Democrats in Minnesota that were assassinated weren't assassinated by a left wing guy. They were assassinated by a kook that was anti-trans. The guy that shot Charlie Kirk was shot by a kook that was pro-trans. But he was a right-wing kook too, unless Nick Fuentes turned into a liberal while I wasn't watching. I don't vote, mind you. I hate both parties. Okay. Nah. You haven't seen Bill Clinton and Oprah and Bill Gates pics with Epstein. I don't think having pics with Epstein makes you guilty of anything. Have you seen Donald Trump's pics with Epstein? He was at a sex party with them. I see the Russian trolls have entered the chat. Look it up. I don't know what I'm supposed to look up. Undereducated loser Democrats make up dumb shit. Dumbest shit. Okay, I don't know what I'm making up. CNN is not research. I'm actually a Democrat economist. I don't know what you think I got off of CNN. I don't watch CNN. I think CNN is a trash network. I don't think it's a liberal trash network or a conservative trash network. I think it's a trash network. I think it's just all about, getting people to watch, sensationalism. I don't think it has anything to do with news at all. Ignore the pedophile supporters. Hey, Skippy, how you doing? How much do you have to make in the top 10%? That's a good question. Around 210 to 250,000 annually. We can all agree that Trump was a regular visitor at Epstein's Island. There's no evidence that Trump was ever to Epstein's Island, but I would also point out there's like most of the, like, this is a thing people focus on, like the hotel or the island and the planes. Most of the abuse did not happen in the island, on the island, or in the plains. Most of the abuse happened in his homes. And we do know that Trump was a regular visitor to Epstein's house in Florida. We know that Jeffrey Epstein had like 12 or 13 phone numbers for him, or some ridiculous number. Like he had his wife's chauffeur's number in his phone book. Yes, 4.3 GDP under Trump. Facts. As I said, well, it's actually not 4.3 GDP under Trump. It's 4.3 GDP for the third quarter. Like, it's not like the negative part from the first quarter just magically went away and replaced by the 4.3%. But again, like what I'm saying is that 4.3% is entirely buffered up by the artificial investment in AI. That's exactly what the problem is. You take AI out of that and it becomes negligible. The growth becomes like 0.26%. I wouldn't trust my kid with, oh, there you go. I thought that's what you meant to say. We agree on a lot of these economic issues. The implication you're making, though, is that the Democrats have the answer. I would love to see your proof that regulations and government money lowers. I will do a dashboard on that for you. I don't know if the Democrats have the answers. I just know tariffs aren't the answer. I am not sure how to fix everything. I just know it's not tariffs. I think that's dumb. And I know that deregulating everything is not necessarily the answer either. There's, I think, some evidence that regulations and government money can lower costs in some things. Like, because, like healthcare, for instance, especially when it comes to insurance spending, like insurance doesn't actually add any value to healthcare. Like if the healthcare and the government were just the only two entities, and the government paid for the healthcare, and it's still like all the hospitals were private and charged what they wanted, then you take the entire cost of insurance out of it, like all the administrative cost, all the profit out of it, and all of that. So just reducing the amount of money that insurance spends on it should lower the actual overall cost of healthcare. I think that I have evidence in saying that, in that we pay more per capita on healthcare than anyone else in the world. But thank you for the tip. I really appreciate that. I will, for those that are new here, if you like buy a sticker, then I will do a dashboard and discuss that on the next episode. So I will have that for you tomorrow. If tomorrow doesn't work for you, let me know when a good day is, and I'll make sure that you're here when I do it. Happy Joe showers with his daughter. This is not true and not really relevant. His daughter has refuted the diary claims. I am a registered Republican. Don't get it twisted, but I will never support a pedo. But you do, you. I just remember I'm not a registered anything. I don't even know. I don't think you can register in Texas. So what we do with our money? The market makes no sense. Well, that's what people are doing. They're investing in AI because, one, it's growing, and two, there's nowhere else to invest it. And that's one of the things that's inflating the actual bubble. Winch, thank you for asking that, because we need to get back to that. There's some parlor games going on with the way that it's all being financed. And this is like, remember, all this, the entire economic picture right now is depending on AI. And then AI has become this really delicate house of cards that reminds me of 2008. In 2008, you had special purpose vehicles, banks, hidden mortgages, debt off balance sheets, asset-backed securities with bundled mortgages sold to investors. Like they would bundle good mortgages with bad mortgages, and then if the good mortgages defaulted, then it would trigger the whole thing, and that would cascade, and that's what actually caused the housing crisis. You had people using houses as collateral to get more houses, and so then like one house would go under, and then that would cause all the houses, all the mortgages to go under. There was all this kind of stacked risks, and you see the same thing with the 2025 AI bubble. Special purpose vehicles, Meta's $27 billion data center through SPV, same as Enron. Asset-backed securities, data center debt bundled, sold to investors. So what they're doing, I'll get into this in an example in a minute. So maybe I'll just spin assets as collateral using GPUs to get loans for more GPUs, and opaque risk, private credit, black box, unknown exposure. But essentially what you're doing is I'll explain it in a minute, but you're using the same kind of bundling debt that happened in the housing crisis. And if one thing pops, like just if one mortgage failed, then it can cause this cascading effects. Now you're going to deal with the same thing, except on a much larger scale. So the CoreWeave example. CoreWeave is one of the biggest AI companies in terms of actual money. It has, right now, it's $14 billion in debt. A third of that is due within a year. And 70% of their revenue comes from just Microsoft. They're using NVIDIA's money to buy NVIDIA chips, to rent NVIDIA. Yet it's one of the best performing stocks. So all these people have money in CoreWeave. And CoreWeave is essentially being paid to rent, if that makes any sense, NVIDIA's chips. And 70% of their revenue comes from Microsoft. and they have all this money due, and they're not making any. They have zero profits. So so what can happen is, let's say CoreWeave isn't able to make that payment, that $14 billion with one. So they're not able to pay that $5 billion off. Then that means, and then when they do that, it can cause automatic call-ins, or whatever they're called, where they have to pay all this money that they can't pay. But then that's going to mean Nvidia gets the same thing triggered, and Microsoft. So if CoreWeave goes under, Microsoft and Nvidia can go under with them, or it can be like really damaged, which is going to cause a whole rush on selling. And they're all connected to one another. All these AI people are all connected to one another, and they're all bundled together, and they're all intertwined. And so, like, if one of them fails, there's going to be a huge, massive sell-off, which is going to create a whole other bunch of chaos. I'm sorry. I thought I had that more. Oh, you know what? No. Shoot, Fooey. I thought I had a. Do I? Let me see something. Boy, pardon my language there with the shoot Fooey. But anyway. Thought I had a big, huge thingamajigger to talk about that, but I can't find it. So sorry about that. I should have had that loaded up. But it's going to cause this cascading thing where you're going to end up with this kind of death spiral of one thing triggering another thing, and all these massive AI companies or massive tech companies could all be brought under if any one of them gets clobbered. So saving money somewhere costs jobs elsewhere. I didn't say that. I don't even know where you got that out of what I said. Okay. Democrats have introduced all kinds of legislation this year that would help workers and those in need, but the MAGA reps shut it all down. I do wish that I will say, like, to get back to the earlier question, one thing I would really like to see is the Democrats become the party of unions again. I feel like labor has just become completely sacrificed by both parties, and we need to have a party that is the party of labor again. Like, unions just have been gutted. The ability to have unions with these so-called right to work states and all of that. There's been a war on organized labor, and organized labor is like an asset we sell. They make it sound like this is like some service rich people do, is they become job creators, and they just dole out jobs out of the goodness of their heart or something. And it's like, no. You have money because people do labor, and the labor that we do makes you money. You would not have money if it were not for labor. It's not out of the goodness of your heart you do this. It's out of the fatness of your wallet. You're required to. So we should be able to take some of that money. Look at the difference in wealth between 1980 and here and now. Look at the difference in how much money the CEOs would make versus the bottom worker. I think it was like 20 times in 1980, and now it's like 250 times or something ridiculous. Like, the wealth, the country has grown in total wealth, but all that wealth is up at the top, and a lot of that is because we have steadily clobbered union rights, starting with Reagan and the air traffic controllers. That's actually a dashboard I should do, is the war on labor. That should be a good show. That would be a good show. But I think, I don't know if that starts to answer your question, but I think that's where I would start thinking is what I wish the Democrats would do. I don't know what the Democrats are doing. I think that in some ways government spending helps stimulate the economy and that stimulates private jobs, and I think that has been proven. I don't know. I think there may be some places where deregulation could help. I think it can stymie things like with the housing market. I think it's so overregulated, it's almost impossible to build homes again. And I think we need some deregulation there. But it's not something I've looked at extensively. But I think there are other areas where they're like deregulating things that need to be regulated, like with the FDA and stuff. Like you're gonna make it so that poor kids end up growing up in Cancer Alley or whatever. There's a place in Texas. It was so the pollution is so bad, like 40% of kids were getting cancer, some insane amount. Don't quote me on that number, but there was a lot of people getting cancer in like this one particular area. Where's the healthcare plan? They're all wanting to do healthcare savings accounts because they're I don't know how Biden did that. I know that there's been a trend for 45 years and that you can't just blame that on Trump or Biden. Healthcare workers will manage it. Trump's tariffs this year alone. No, it did not bring in 18 trillion. That's just not true. That is so made up that because Trump said something does not mean you're obligated to repeat it. Not a single dime has actually been invested as a result of his trade war. And the only money that's come from the tariffs has been paid by us. If you reallocate money from Americans to Americans, you haven't brought in anything. You've just, done a whole wealth transfer thing from the poor to the rich. All right. So let's go back to this. Are we still on the... let's go back. Oh, okay, here. So back to this. All right. So by 2028, right now, we're expected as I was saying before I got myself distracted, so much of this AI is just built on debt right now. And by 2028, it'll be about $1.5 trillion of debt that is owed to AI. Well, let's hide this comment because it has not. $1.5 trillion in debt that AI owes to AI. Like this AI company owes that AI company, and that AI company owes this AI company. And it's all kind of just this big house of cards that's all debt. And a lot of it is like hidden. Like we don't even know who owes people what because it's all obfuscated. So let's say a new chip comes out, the Cascade risk. This is what I was looking for earlier. A new chip is released. So the old GPUs lose value. So all this money that CoreWeave has in the Microsoft thing, where Microsoft has 70% of what CoreWeave does, right? And then this new GPU comes out. So then the lenders call in the loans because all of a sudden now you're outdated. And so then the lenders call in the loans. CoreWeave has to give all their money. So the companies are forced to sell the GPUs. The market floods, prices crash. Then you have more margin calls because everybody's selling, because everybody's crashing. Then that causes credit freeze and a recession. This could happen in days, not months. Like you could have the entire stock market crash in just a few days because, again, $1.5 trillion in that debt. And then all of a sudden, one thing goes wrong with CoreWeave. Like somebody comes out with a new chip, and then all that AI is no longer the fanciest, latest, friendliest AI there is. And so then people start panicking. Oh, now CoreWeave, this one that has all this money invested in it, it's suddenly not the cream of the crop. And so they need to sell that and get the new thing. And then so CoreWeave starts crashing, then Microsoft starts crashing, then NVIDIA starts crashing, then the whole economy starts crashing. So yeah, that would be bad. But on top of that, you look at what's going on with the economy. And it's not just like if you look at 1929 and you look the Great Depression, after that, like there was no cushion. There was no unemployment insurance. There was no Social Security. There was no Medicaid. There wasn't anything to take care of poor people. And so then that just made things worse. And what the Republicans did in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act is they kneecapped all these things that are called automatic stabilizers. And they're called automatic stabilizers because one, they're automatic, and B, two, they're stabilizers. They stabilize the economy automatically when bad stuff happens. Those are the things that saved us in 2008. People lost their jobs, but they had unemployment. If there wasn't unemployment, how many more homes would have been foreclosed on? Like, think about that. So, and then like if you're unemployed and they're putting these work requirements on Medicaid, well, how does that work? So it's all of these things become cyclical and they become worse. And then because you have all this bad stuff going on, then you've got like nobody's got Medicaid and everybody needs healthcare. Hospitals start going under, especially in like the rural areas in the Midwest where they're already stressed beyond belief. So all these things just amplify. I don't know if we're headed for another Great Depression, but we sure as heck could be heading towards something worse than the Great Recession in 2008. You look at some of the 1929, they had a 10-to-1 margin on stocks. Now we've got these. In 2008, you had these complex derivatives like with the mortgages and everything. Now you've got all this GPU-backed debt plus private credit. The GPU-backed debt is what I was talking about with the NVIDIA, like selling its own things and then getting rent for them or something like that. It's like so tricky and complex that I couldn't quite wrap my head around it. I could probably if I like spent more time on it. But there's something duplicitous there. There's something sneaky about it, to where you've got people that are borrowing on money that they've borrowed. The speed of collapse in 1929, it took weeks. In 2008, it took months. And now it could take days. Everything will be accelerated, ironically, because of AI. Visibility. People knew it was coming in 1929. 2008, there were some warnings. AI bubble. We don't even know because this private credit exists. Like all this money is just sort of secretly being borrowed and stuff. We have no idea exactly who owes who what money, and what's going to happen if these margin calls start coming in. There was no safety net in 1929. In 2008, we had extensive safety nets. That's what I mean about the automatic stabilizers. And I would say that 2008 would have been a lot worse without those automatic stabilizers. And then in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act and the Doge cuts, those things were just eviscerated. They still exist, but they exist strong enough. Sorry. Reflex again. They exist strong enough to actually stop another one. In 1929, there was an economy that was, the stock market was high, but there was an economy that was starting to show signs of weakness. In 2008, the economy was doing more or less okay, but there were signs. Right now, without AI, there's already a weak economy. And I'm not blaming, I know people are going to say this, but I'm not blaming all of this on Trump. And I'm not even blaming it all on Biden. I don't think it's fair to blame it on either one. It's AI itself. It's just there's an appeal there, and there's a reason to invest in it, and that's why people are investing in it. But then it's exacerbated by things that Trump is doing, like with the tariffs and making it like nobody wants to invest money anywhere else. And that's just like overinflating the balloon even more, so that when it pops, it's going to be a disaster. And it's kind of ironic because the Smoot-Hawley tariff, and this is like a repeat, only worse. Like the Smoot-Hawley, they implemented it in 1930 to recover from the recession. And it actually had a really, really opposite impact. It made it worse. Well, Trump's tariffs are like the Smoot-Hawley Act, but before the recession starts. Both of them were designed to protect American workers, ostensibly, raise tariffs on thousands of goods. Over 1,000 economists warned against it. In 2025, economists warned against it. Hoover signed it anyway. Trump's implementing it anyway. Countries retaliated immediately. Countries retaliating now. Global trade collapsed 66%. Global trade is contracting. Turned recession into Great Depression, and we're here. We don't know what's going to happen. But if history is any indicator, it may not be very good. Historical fact, U.S. exports fell from $5.0 billion in 1929 to $1.7 billion after Smoot-Hawley. Unemployment hit 25%. Economic consensus is this was one of the biggest policy mistakes in American history. Why are we even doing this? It's worse this time. In 1930, they at least waited until after the crash to make the tariff mistake. In 2025, we're implementing tariffs before the AI bubble pops, which means when we do, we'll face a double shock, financial crisis, plus trade war simultaneously. And I would add on to that we're also doing mass deportations, which are also going to have negative effect on the economy. Although you'll never convince MAGAs of that because it's reality. But according to Wharton, mass deportations are going to have a very negative effect on the economy. Let's deregulation houses so they can. No, I'm not talking about deregulation, the building of houses. I'm talking about deregulations of where you build houses. Look up healthcare deals cheap. Okay. Actually, dude, you haven't been paying attention. Tariffs have actually had a really, really, really negative effect on the economy. Why do you think the price of beef is up? Why do you think the price of coffee is up? Like, yes. Like, tariffs have been bad. There are actual bad things happening in the economy because of tariffs. Like, just sticking your fingers in your ear and saying, no, it's not, doesn't make it go away. All right. Hey, I just... Rainbow Kitty and we got 2 kitties in here. Anyway, just noticed that. So you sound like every stoner nowadays. That's how they work. They charge you more than what actual project costs. That way they make a profit. Wow. Yeah, I searched on Google and the Great Depression was worsened by tariffs. Yes. Thanks. I like to use humor to get through hard times. It's like therapy, but for free. We are doing mass deportations because some dumbass has done mass immigration. No, that's actually not true. Why was it so important before dumbass that did mass immigration was ever elected? And we're gonna that's a whole other thing. I'm gonna talk about immigration tomorrow. By the way, tomorrow's show should be fun. Hey, Resistance Kitty, there you go. There you go, Kitty Pride. I love it. Resistance Kitty and Rainbow Kitty. You're both our kitties. Our kitty squared. I can't help it that you made bad decisions for your life. Buck up and maybe you will be. I don't know what that means. I don't know what to say about that. Okay. Trump 2028. Yay. Who cares about the Constitution? You know what? If Obama ran, if we could run a third term and Obama ran in 2016, we never would have heard of President Trump. Obama would have kicked Trump's butt 6 ways to Sunday. You are unemployed and you are a troll. You don't see anybody here going to Fox News to troll. Why don't you just go where they want you to hear? I actually don't mind them here because sometimes I'm able to have get past all the defensiveness and actually have some intelligent conversation. What's up with the billions of dollars of Democrat welfare fraud in Minnesota? Well, that was yesterday's show. But it's not Democrat fraud or Democrat welfare fraud. It's not about politics. It's about some bad people did a bad thing. And they should be sent to prison, and they are being sent to prison. But why is it that your guy commits fraud and you're okay with it? Lying is not facts, right? And then we really have another recession. We are truly in danger of going into a recession. I cannot emphasize this enough. When you start stacking up the AI bubble, the tariffs, and the global trade war, and when you start adding on the mass immigration and all of that together, and just generally speaking, when you start slashing government spending like that, it's called austerity. Austerity is traditionally causes recessions. Almost every case where they've made massive austerity cuts in the last 30 years, there's been a recession that's accompanied it. So it's all bad for the economy. And everything Trump is, if I were Putin and I wanted to design the American economy to do as badly as possible within actual legal constraints, I would do everything Trump is doing. I would tell him to do everything Trump is doing is bad for the economy. Intelligent MAGA is an oxymoron. They know what oxymoron even is. Yes, Obama would have kicked Trump's orange butt, but unfortunately the law didn't allow that. Exactly. Yes, it is. I don't know what is. Who's our president? Donald Trump is. That doesn't mean that you're right. When Joe Biden was president, was that your attitude? Did you just be like, well, Donald Trump's president or Joe Biden's president, therefore, why is it that it matters when Trump is president, but it doesn't matter when Biden is president? I would really love to hear your answer on that. I have a good job. Obama can't beat up Big Mike. Oh, look, a transphobic joke about Michelle Obama. 67% of the 9 people in public assistance are white American. You're more likely to be on public assistance if you're in rural America than if you're in urban America. Did you know that? A higher percentage of people, per capita, red states have more people on public assistance than blue states. They were Democrats to dishing. I don't even know what this means. Yes, because my ex attempting to do horrible things to me is my fault. Get a grip on reality. Wake up and. Oh my goodness. Why is somebody attacking you for something like that, Rainbow? Why? Can't Matt? You can disagree and still be a human. Still just have things like basic compassion and understanding of other people. Could as and it might, I don't know. Big is correct considering how fat Trump is. Please tell me you go live every day. I go live Monday through Friday from 1:30 to 5:30ish. And hey, go ahead and you're on X. So yeah, 1:30 to 5:30 every day. I don't have to live your life to talk. I don't know what that means. We experienced a recession under Obama 8 years. No, we didn't actually. We went into a recession under Bush. Obama actually brought us out of the recession. I don't know if they teach that in history class anymore or what year you graduated from high school, but Obama actually brought us out of the recession. Actually, if you really look at things, watch the GDP growth under Obama and all the economic indicators under Obama, and then look at a chart from when from Trump took over. Everything slowed under Obama or under Trump. Trump just took credit for what the black guy did. I know that hurts your feelings to hear that, but Trump just took credit for what the black guy did. Trump is doing awesome. This is all just nonsense. By the way, I know you don't remember that, just like what happened with the Democrats deeming certain jobs non-essential under Biden during the COVID lockdowns. I seem to remember that the lockdowns were Trump was president. Who was president in 2020? And they weren't lockdowns. Nobody was being arrested for leaving their house. You always the victim. I went through it with my ex too. All right, just like let's not get personal, okay? Like you don't know anything about about I think is it a rainbow kitty? Think is it her life or their life? I'm sorry, I don't want to use the wrong gender here. Bad for us is good for Trump. Now in Minnesota we have everybody's just got to. Why are you guys not worried about Trump's fraud? As if they are frauding it, boot them off and or arrest them. They've already been convicted. Like this is not a new thing. They were all tried and convicted under Biden. It's not like this is all like anyway. There it is, folks. Democrats do no wrong and Trump eternally. What did you get any of this? Okay, name one thing that Trump has ever done wrong. Like this is, you're just like flipping this. You're like Democrats did everything wrong because of all the made up stuff you're accusing Biden of doing. And then you're denying that like Trump actually tried to steal the election. Like that actually happened. Trump actually stole top secret documents, including classified material that even he can't declassify by law. Like there's laws against, even the president can't declassify nuclear secrets. And he had nuclear secrets with him. So even your little made up stuff about how he can declassify stuff with his brain, Trump has done wrong things and you can't criticize him for that. Instead, you just need to make it reversey. It's not opposite day, dude. Read a book. Nobody attacking her. I don't know what's going on with all that. I missed something, but blue states are keeping the tax breaks Trump gave the people. I don't think states can override federal tax laws. I don't even know what that means. I know that the Democrats didn't vote for the tax cuts, and they're not tax cuts, they're extensions of tax cuts that tremendously benefited the rich. And when you take into account the spending cuts that went with it, actually is a wealth transfer, the largest wealth transfer from the poor to the rich in American history. Minnesota stole more money. Minnesota didn't steal anything. Okay, housing crisis and recession. 2008, dude. Are you anti-Trump? If so, thank you. I am pro reality, which makes me innately against everything that Trump does. Welfare. What is that? Do you mean social services, things that might help you get like welfare is like that was a thing that hasn't there hasn't been welfare since like the 90s. You don't remember. I don't remember what. I don't. No liberal has true empathy. They are only empathetic to people that learn their way. Everyone else, I don't know what that means. That's just like yelling things. Hey, the Democrats are doing really. I don't know. I think you forgot to finish your sentence. Forcing people to get shots or lose their jobs, like vaccines. Man, mandatory vaccines were something that just got made up under Biden. You know who forced people to get shots? George Washington. He forced people to get vaccines. You know what happened as a result? We won the revolution. If George Washington had not forced the military to get smallpox vaccines, then we would not have won the revolution. So, you know, maybe it's time to look at yourself rather than blaming everyone else for everything. Well, no, it seems like there's an internal conversation where I'm only catching some of it. Your gaslighting isn't going the way you think it is, little dude. I don't know who you're talking to. And I haven't. I'm not. Everything I've said is true, so it's not gaslighting if it's true. If that was aimed at me, like not having businesses open because during Biden's terms, because somewhere, that happened under Trump. That happened under Trump. Like I don't know where people have somehow they've managed to make. I even ran a poll on Twitter, and I have almost all liberal followers. But I ran a poll on Twitter: who is president in 2020? And like 15% of the people said it was. I think like 12% said it was Biden, and another 3% said it was Obama. Like. Trump was president in 2020. When the so-called lockdowns were happening, Donald Trump was president. And also, there wasn't anything wrong with those stay-at-home orders. Remain in place or whatever. It was just not even an order. It was like, hey, if you don't have to go anywhere, don't go anywhere. Because the less interaction there is, the less disease gets spread. Like there was an actual fatal disease that killed over 1 million Americans. And all you guys had to do was like, if you go outside and you go somewhere, put a piece of cloth on your face and a bunch of crying little whiny babies that you are, you couldn't do that. You had to just cry and whine. And now look, over 1 million people dead, and you're proud of yourselves about that, making up lies about vaccines and just being stupid and proud of it. Like, read a book. Democrats punter to you with compassion. You're just like, okay, now if all nonprofit groups are bad because this one case of fraud, and then that means that all liberals are like just out there to commit fraud, and you know the real compassion is like just saying send everybody from Somalia back. You know, that is the real compassion. That is the way to solve all the problems. Shut up. Remember that they had a hotline to narc people. No, they didn't. No, we did not have a narc line to that's not true. That is a made up propaganda thing. I think there was like a couple of towns that might have had something that, like, if people not if people didn't remain at home, but if people insisted on, like barging in and walking around somewhere not wearing a mask while there were masking mandates, then you could call and get somebody to come out there and like manage that situation. But like, why is it that you feel that you have this need to like just not wear a mask? Like, why can't you just put a piece of cloth on your face for half an hour? Okay, can we kick this guy? He's being which guy? I don't know which one you're talking about. I'm having trouble. I'm like getting commented out again. I'm so far behind. That was before the what was before the Constitution? You have the brain capacity of a goldfish, dude. Okay. I do? No. 2020 was Joe Biden, dude. 2000. Google it. Google. Who was president in 2020? And this so-called shutdown lasted like 2.5 weeks. Obama was deporting Mexicans and blacks and letting in Muslims. Okay, you don't even know how to smell mosques. Vaccines do not save. Yes, they do. More people died under Biden. Well, of course. That's like such a dumb thing to say. Do you understand why that is a dumb thing to say? There was no COVID in existence the first 3 years of Trump's presidency. There was COVID the entire 4 years under Biden's presidency. When Biden was sworn in, we were literally at the peak of how many cases there were and how many deaths there were per day. So of course there's going to be more deaths under Biden. That's the way math works. There were already like just the people that had COVID that were going to die of COVID. There were already as many people that had COVID that were going to die of COVID when Biden was sworn in than died under Trump. What was Biden supposed to do? Cast like fairy dust and cure everybody? That's such a dumb argument. And it's like when people make that argument, I'm like, seriously wonder, did you even think that through before you thought to regurgitate how stupid a thing that sounds? This dude is telling lies, but you can't actually identify any lies that I have told. You're the one that keeps talking about how Biden was president in 2020. Oh, look at David. Oh, yeah. Tell your mom I said hi. COVID was a scam as it was for all people. Exactly. You're an idiot. Masks don't work. Yes. Says whatever you are. No, I'm sorry. Masks work. That is like scientifically proven. Denialism is not like an actual thing. Doesn't actually make things go away. All right. So let's go back to the AI thing because we're getting sidetracked. So now with the safety net, as I was saying, there's these things called automatic stabilizers that when the economy collapses has preserved us in 2008. It preserved us in 1980 and 82 when we had the recessions. The economy hit the bottom. It had a higher floor. After 1992, after 1929 and 33, we learned our lesson and created automatic stabilizers, programs that inject money into the economy during downturns without requiring congressional action. These are what prevented 2008 from becoming another Great Depression. Unemployment insurance, SNAP expansion. We expanded at $40 billion a year. Medicaid expansion. We expanded at $100 billion a year. Automatic tax reduction, $400 million a year. Billion. Total automatic stabilization, $600 billion a year. We did the same thing in 2020. Automatic stabilizers saved the economy from completely collapsing. But we've sat there and we've passed legislation that guts so many of these automatic stabilizers. And in the Great Depression, that's why we fell so far, as we had no floor. And we still have a floor. They're not completely removed, but they're gutted. And so we've lowered the floor. Now we're cutting those exact programs before a potential crisis. SNAP, we just cut it $213 billion. Medicaid, we just cut it $880 billion. Unemployment insurance, state level cuts to eligibility and duration. Government employment, DOGE planning massive federal workforce cuts. Government employment, by the way, was a big reason that we were able to get through the 2008 recession. Government spending is not bad. Government jobs are not bad. I know that conservatives have been taught to believe that if you're working for the government, you're an evil person, but that's not true. Government jobs can actually do a lot. They're as we're finding out, right? Like when during the shutdown, we found out, oh, gee, some of these government jobs are actually pretty important. Social Security, defunding through payroll taxes, privatization discussions. And that's a whole other disaster I don't even want to get into. Like, that would just be the worst thing. How many 1930s policies mistakes are we repeating? Tariffs during economic weakness, ignoring economist warnings, economic nationalism rhetoric, which is like, in 1929, it was bad, but now it's just stupid. Like, Donald Trump talks about globalization as though it's the worst thing in the history of mankind. Globalization has been fantastic. We've grown because of globalization. Restrictive immigration, mass deportation plans. He's even kicking out people that came over here legally. Attacking the Federal Reserve. He wants to sue. Government spending cuts. DOGE. That's a whole other thing. I want to look into that some more. Like, what is the ripple effect of these DOGE cuts? And I'm not just talking about like the millions and millions of people that are dying in Africa because, like all of a sudden we're too good to help people get vaccines. Reducing regulatory oversight. And I'm not just talking about COVID vaccines either. Reducing regulatory oversight, concentration of wealth worse than 1929. Did you know that? Right now, we have more concentration of wealth at the top than we had in 1929. And we're dismantling the safety nets. We are primed for a recession in every single way. So what could happen when the AI bubble pops? Week 1, the trigger. CoreWeave or some other similar company defaults on debt. GPU starts falling. Margin calls issued across the AI sector. Day 2. Stock market crashes 15 to 20%. And now it's the AI sector that's crashing. And so algorithmic trading accelerates the collapse. The magnificent stack, those stock techs crater, the ones that right now are propping up the entire economy. The 401ks, they lose their value overnight. All of a sudden, you've got full-on panic. And it's just like we're on day, after a couple of days. By week 2, contagion spreads. Other AI infrastructure companies revealed their exposure. Private credit firms announced lots because of all this private debt. Credit freeze begins. No one can get financing. Companies announce mass layoffs because, like, what happens if Microsoft goes under? How much damage does that do to the economy? And if CoreWeave goes under, Microsoft isn't far behind. NVIDIA goes under. The entire AI sector starts to crash. Week 3 to 4, economists revised GDP forecast from 3% gain to 3% loss. The 92% of growth that was AI investment gone. What's left is a stagnant economy that was holding underneath. And then that economy is going to be getting crushed by all the other disaster. So, sorry, I don't know if somebody was laughing there. I think they were laughing because I was having trouble talking and breathing at the same time. Okay. So within 3 to 6 months, after 2 to 3 months, we've still got the trade war going on, right? With trade wars, you got the trade tariffs and the retaliation, and nobody wants to be able to manufacture anything because we've got all these uncertain tariffs going on. You've got mass deportations, removing the workers. You've got the safety nets being cut from under everybody. You've got government spending getting slashed because of Doge. Each of these amplifies the problem. And then your automatic stabilizers that would normally come in and help in this sort of thing, those things are all getting cut. You got these work requirements on Medicaid, but no jobs for anybody to get. You can't get unemployment benefits. So then people can't pay for their mortgages. And then the mortgages, you have houses start to go under, which is going to cause more things. Like once this bubble pops, who knows what the bottom is? If 92% of our economic growth comes from one sector's capital spending, is that really growth or is it just accounting? Like we do not, this is why people are always talking about why is there a disconnect between what the numbers say and there's always, why is there this disconnect between what the macro numbers say and how people feel? Because 90% of the people actually are already in a recession. We have such a K-shaped economy, but it's like both the up of the K and the down of the K are in these like fragile situations. It's not a good economy. It's really not. I know that Fox News tells you it is, but there is a lot of really, really tenuous things going on with the economy. What happens when the AI spending surge plateaus? Yeah, what happens when we stop investing all of that money in AI? Like how much is enough? Right now it's like there's no investment, there's nothing returned on that. None of these AI companies are actually making a profit right now. Why are we implementing the exact same policies? Why are we doing stupid things? Like tariffs are stupid. They were stupid in 1929. They're even stupider now. They're stupider than they've ever been. And somebody had talked about, well, Biden left the tariffs. I disagreed with Biden when he left those tariffs in place too. Tariffs are stupid. They don't do any good. All they do is hurt Americans. There was a study they did on the washing machine things, and the amount of money they cost American taxpayers it's like versus the number of jobs they created. It was like it ended up costing taxpayers $100,000 per job that was created through this washing machine and dryer manufacturing industry. Like it was not helpful. It was not helpful. Who bears the risk when the bubble pops? Tech executives and investors who got rich. Do you think that Elon Musk is gonna be the one that's in the poorhouse? I don't. Do you think Bill Gates is gonna be the one that's in the poorhouse? I don't. You think the people that are donating money to Trump's ballroom are gonna be in the poorhouse? I don't. Historians spent 90 years documenting what went wrong in 1929 and 1933. Every economic student learns about how Smoot-Hawley Act was a cautionary tale. Why are we sprinting towards the same cliff? Like the number of MAGAs that do not know that tariffs are bad is just startling. The number of MAGAs that think other countries pay tariffs is just frightening. We're not facing an AI bubble. We're not just facing an AI bubble. We're facing an economy that was never actually growing. And I'll say this too. This did not start under Trump. This illusory economy started under, well, maybe even Trump the first time. But the AI bubble has been building. It did not just start inflating under Trump. And it's why you see these massive jobs corrections. It's because you get all these jobs from like birth death predictions, and then they're all thrown out of the algorithm is thrown all out of whack because these AI things are not they're not creating the kind of jobs that we're used to seeing by new businesses. The safety net that prevented another depression from being dismantled. We're seeing mass deportations planned and executed. And all those things like I know that some people just really have trouble wrapping their heads around it, but mass deportations actually lower employment. They're not taking our jobs. They're not doing jobs that you want to do. I have not seen anybody move to Texas to pluck strawberries. Government spending cuts planned. The austerities during recessions are just going to be like, oh my goodness, a tax on the Federal Reserve, record wealth inequality. All of this is just primed for a recession. And the delicate nature of the current situation with the AI bubble is just frightening. Okay, so let's look at Pelosi. Yeah, so is Donald Trump. Somebody talking has the IQ of a mudflat, and yet still smarter than you. God, Emperor, my ass. This started with trickle-down economics policies. Yes. The attacks in union and organized. Yes, I agree. King Trump. 30 companies in U.S. with one employee tax write-off. Wow, I did not know that. That's really sad and scary. In 6 months, it's going to be great. I wonder, so is that, I'm assuming there's the employer and the employee, like it's not like the one employee is the owner of the business. So I wonder how many of those would be like the employee is the spouse of the employer. In 6 months, it's going to be great. Yeah, I keep hearing that. I think that's going to be, is that 6 months and like after the Trump healthcare plan is released, or like, I love the way they're kicking the can down the road. They're going to, oh, it's going to be great after the election, after the 2026 election. They went from, oh, we're going to drop the prices overnight. Day one. Like, how many times did Donald Trump say day one? And it's like, we're almost up to day 334 or something like that. Actually, less than that, 300. 342. We know you love Trump's kingship. Chill. Okay. Hell, this guy probably thinks we're in a democracy. We are in a democracy. You probably think that a republic is not a democracy. They are also lower rents. Candace canceled $40 billion construction of USA microchip manufacturing plant a couple of months ago due to the market instability. Trump driving USA business away with tariff of I have not heard about the Candace things, but yes, I can't remember what it's like, foreign dollars invested or FDI or something like that. I can't remember the official term for it, but the amount of money invested in the United States by foreign countries has actually gone down this year. These $18 trillion, which is not a real number, even if you add up all the fake numbers. That's just a thing that Trump says. But even if you like all of this, have you noticed that all the promises to invest money come after Trump leaves office. Like it's all after 2028. Like nobody's saying they're going to start now. It's like, okay, little boy, we'll give you this as soon as you leave office. Go away now. Like none of that money's going to happen. And it's not like people weren't already like Japan can't like force private businesses to, invest money in America anyway. There's no way to ensure that any of this happens. There's no contractual obligation. These are just promises to try. And companies already were investing money. But now they're investing less because we have a less stable economy, because we have a less stable president. Like you can talk all you want about how, terrible Biden was and how his mental faculties weren't there. Donald Trump doesn't even know when he craps his own pants. He needs somebody to come and tell him, hey, dude, you pooped your pants again. And then he needs somebody to change his diaper for him. When your parallels intersect, dude, I'm a plumber and I don't know what you're talking about. But you want to hear a good plumber joke? So this brain surgeon goes he's got a leak in his sink and he's like, I can't fix this. He tries and he fiddles around with it for a while. And so he calls the plumber and he has the plumber come over and the plumber fixes it. And so the brain surgeon's kind of like, feeling a little bit inferior, because this plumber was able to fix the thing he couldn't fix. He's like, yeah, I'm just a brain surgeon. I couldn't figure this out. And the plumber says, oh, I used to be a brain surgeon too. The brain surgeon says, why did you get into plumbing? Plumber says, for the money. So my rent went up $150 to $3,000. Wow. You must make good money, Brett. You're paying, or else you live in California. $3,850. I'm sorry, I have to do this. Okay. Times 12. So that's $46,200 a year. You paying more in rent than like 40% of America makes. So when am I coming over? Like, I bet you've got some good food. Doing more than Biden and his auto pen. Donald Trump is an auto pen. He sits there and he stares vacantly at somebody while they explain to him in little boy terms what bill he's signing. He has no grasp of what he's signing. He doesn't even know who he pardoned or why. Well, they told me he was a bad guy or he was a good guy, and he doesn't even know. He has no concept at all of what he is doing. He is a void, lost, little old grumpy man. And they give him playthings that cost trillions of dollars. He thinks the military is his toy. He is absent. He is playing three Dementia chess while everybody else is like trying to play checkers. That's because you're in a democratic state, fool. That's why it went up. Farmers need welfare. Do you think Trump is going to allow you to sit around and play on the internet all day and support you? I don't think Trump is supporting me. I don't know. I think she's on my side. Don't worry. God, Emperor Trump is going to save us with the terrorists, despite you being too stupid to understand their purpose. Okay, Lynn. They're not working. Manufacturing jobs are down 100,000. Like you can say I'm stupid, but I'm not. I am smart enough to know that losing 100,000 manufacturing jobs is not saving us. Why didn't you move while Biden was president? Oh, you're talking about him. Well, he's not complaining about it. He just said it went up. I bet he's got nice digs. wanting America to fail is gross. I don't want America to fail. You're the one that voted for Trump. Mass deportations will not lower rents. What do we had? Like, we've had like 400,000 people deported. How many houses? I mean, it's hard to talk to logic with MAGAs because they don't get how logic works. It's like, this is like the only way you can like the MAGAs say things that are so stupid that it's hard to like want to formulate a response, because it's like there are 11 layers of stupid that I have to go through here before you will even understand the first layer. Did you know before we had taxes? Yes, I did. Did you know that switching to income taxes is why we became like one of the wealthiest, most successful nations in the history of the world, if not the most? Like, when we were only on tariffs, we were a different country. I mean, the entire world has changed in the last 150 years. I don't know if you're aware of that, because you seem to be oblivious to it. Like, read a book 170 years ago. Fun fact, it's been is that it seems like it should be longer than that, because I seem to recall he was saying that back in like 2018 or whenever the vote happened where McCain gave him the thumbs down, and that would have been about 6 or 7 years ago. So it seems like it should be like over 300 weeks. Yeah, well, just saying things doesn't make a good argument, William Wallace. I love the way your name is William Wallace, though. Like it's funny how you guys like think of yourselves as being these heroes. It will be great if you don't hold us accountable. Yes. Tariffs are bad. Do you realize that when we had tariffs, we had open borders? Did you know that? We didn't have any immigration laws when we had tariffs. So by your logic, we should have open borders again. We should just do away with all immigration laws. We didn't have any federal immigration laws when we were all on tariffs. So which is it? If it's great, Republicans would have town halls. This is true. They wouldn't run from them. And gas and groceries. No, groceries are not lower. That's objectively false. And we've been through the gas enough times. Only a few 100,000, Stephen. Gotta get millions out. Ice, baby. Okay. Biden did not screw it up pretty bad. It's like, it's so easy to just say Biden bad, Trump good, like as an argument, but it's not. It's just saying stupid things. Do you know how arguments work? Do you know how facts work? Do you know how formative logical discussions work? Try having one. Donald Trump promised your energy bill will be half time within the first year in office. TikTok. What is, okay, how much? We're looking, electricity prices have risen significantly in 2025, with U.S. residents rates up around 46% year over year. And this is like a lot of things, not necessarily a Trump flaw. It's an AI thing, which is ironically what we're talking about today, or at least what we were talking about. All right. Whoa, tall Paul. How have they affected you personally to make you this angry? It's like, right? You know, it's like you'd think that the average MAGA life is like getting beaten up by trans people and immigrants and Somalians and Democrats. Like for people that I mean, the U.S. federal government shifted from tariffs as its main revenue source to income taxes within the right. And the economy did better because of it. January 6th was an FBI setup. Who was president on January 6th, 2021? My gas is already down 30 cents where I live. Okay, good. Rent prices came down. Rent prices are a little bit down in some places, but mortgages are way up. Your grocery prices if your grocery prices have dropped, then you're a unicorn. Beef prices are up across the country. Do you not eat beef? Do you not drink coffee? Do you live off of eggs and gasoline? Is that your whole diet? The founding fathers rejected democracy and faith. This is such a silly thing. Okay, the Democrats, the founding fathers did not reject democracy in favor of representative republic. They chose a representative republic as the form of democracy, which it is. Then they talked about democracies. They were talking about direct democracy, where the people would specifically vote on every single issue. And they would talk, they decided that's unrealistic. And so the form of democracy they chose is a representative republic. When people talk about democracy in the United States, we're talking about representative republic. Those words are interchangeable. The most common form of democracy in the world is a representative republic. And the most common ways that representative republics are chosen is through democratic means. If you look up democratic or republic I'll just do it right now because some people are just too what is a republic? Or what is a representative republic? And I'll share my screen here just as soon as I get that typed in. All right, so just share this with you so that we can put this stupid conversation forever to rest. Okay, so hang on. Got to come back over here and share this tab instead. A representative republic is a form of government in which citizens elect representatives to make policy decisions and pass laws on their behalf, operating within a fundamental framework of fundamental laws such as the Constitution that protects individual rights and majority. This system prevents the tyranny of the majority that can occur in pure democracy, which is, what I was just saying. What does the word elect mean to you? Like, people want to make, like, especially conservatives, want to make this distinction between democracy and republic as though there is one in anybody's mind. Like, nobody's confused here except for you. Everybody that talks about a democracy is talking about a representative republic. I think what happens is that in your little weird addled MAGA hatted brains, you think that republic is better because you're Republicans. Do you know who came up with the Democratic Party? The founding fathers. Thomas Jefferson was a Democrat. Sit down, little boy. I hear MAGA say now that how does Trump lower oil prices? He doesn't. I think you're asking rhetorically. You're right. Donald Trump doesn't lower oil prices. OPEC increased the amount of oil that they produce, which is why we have lower oil prices. So, okay, not everybody lives in Ohio. The national gas prices, as you know, we've gone over this already. Maybe you weren't here. The national price of gas has not is down about 20 cents since January. You also dumb enough to think that might makes right. Apparently, you don't know laws and orders. Bum bum. Okay. Kamala would have been a disaster, and we would know about all the corruption that the Democrats did. I don't know what. Sandisk would have only been 6 months of construction anyway. They would have been unemployed very quickly. Why do you say that? I don't know anything about that. I didn't know anything about them not doing a thing. SanDisk is like the hard disk thing. Is that, or am I outdated on that? I remember. See, like I'm old, so I remember reading when like the back in like 97. I was reading an article about how they were coming out with these solid state drives that would like change storage forever. So, and how like one little disc could have like an entire set of encyclopedias on it. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't know. Y'all young people don't know. When you had a Commodore 64 and it was like 64K of memory, and it was just like, whoa, that's life changing. Okay. Michigan is a blue state, I might add. It has a governor that's depends on how you determine. It has a state. The governor is blue. The governor is a Democrat, and but they voted for Trump in the last election. And it's like this kind of whole thing about blue state versus red state, and it's all just like a lot of it's stupid. First of all, we'd have never found this. There is no fraud, waste, and abuse. The fraud, waste, and abuse is in the White House. You didn't find stuff. You just declared stuff, fraud, waste, and abuse. That's why they had to keep running back and trying to rehire people they fired. I don't know who they is, and like there are people who were raped, and there were people that were murdered throughout the history of our country by immigrants and by people who live or were born here. Like acting like it's a, there's actual literal data that shows immigrants are less likely to commit violent crimes than native born Americans. Yes, I do think might make mistakes. It doesn't necessarily mean right, but it definitely makes, I don't know what that all means. I believe you are thinking of Joe Biden. I don't know what you're thinking of Joe Biden. The new fraud was prosecuted in 2022 with over 100 convictions. Oh, the Minnesota fraud. I think it's more like 60 convictions, but yeah, this is not like they and there may be some new stuff, but I don't know. Like this is yet to be like really. What we know is some right-wing guy with a camera went and just like pounded and said, let me in. And that was it. Like, we don't know that any, fraud was going on there. It may be, it may not be. If it was, then people should be prosecuted. But the 80,000 Somalians Somali people who had nothing to do with it don't deserve to be prosecuted because what some Somali people did. That's like me saying everybody in MAGA should be prosecuted because of what Trump did. You're getting advice from a plumber. Hey, sometimes plumbers give good advice. Joe did all this guy is blaming Trump for it. No, he didn't. So far, this MAGA troll reported me twice but both, MAGAs are like, for people that are pro free speech, are awfully like, How do you melt how do you melt a MAGA snowflake? Is you state a fact. So I can come rob from you if you suck by your logic. I wouldn't choose that for myself, but you do you. I don't. I. Oh no! Please don't use AI. Are you a Trump stan? Are you talking to me? Stick around. You'll figure it out. Anybody that pays $4,000 a month rent is stupid or makes more money than you. Good chance that Trump will put us in a second recession on his second term and go 2-2, who has no understanding of the economics. It's interesting. I think actually I am a licensed journeyman electrician. Read up on the microchip plan. 1.5 to 2 year minimum of full-time employment with few months, 2 shifts for hundreds of just my trade. The Microsoft chip plant. But what happens if that goes under? I think that's part of what we're saying here is that or what I'm saying is that this is all on this precarious house of cards. So if something were to go wrong with those microchips to where either somebody comes up with a better microchip or the one of the companies that's either whatchamacallit, the core, whatever it's called. If one of those plants goes under, one of those companies goes under, then Microsoft can come with it, or at least have some pretty deleterious effects. Okay, well, have you tried talking to your mommy about that? Trump is a hoe. Trump's approval is better than the. Yeah, well, look at the generic ballots. We all are immigrants. How do you feel you need to live with Vance or Rubio for? Well, we'll see. I was told that like elections happen. Let's wait until the election happens. I've been told lots of times that somebody was going to win that didn't win. The terrorists were, I would really be surprised, honestly, if Vance or Rubio won. They have, between them, they have as much charisma as like a cardboard box. The terrorists were left over from Trump's first term. I don't know what you're talking about. There were terrorists from Trump's first term that Biden kept that he should have gotten rid of, I think. And then Trump levied a whole bunch of new tariffs all over the world in his second term. We've always had immigration laws. No, we haven't. Gas is 208 here. Good. Happy to hear it. Just because tariffs were good doesn't mean having open borders. Well, just because tariffs were good then. So what you're saying is that something that was good then might not be good now? I am working with the dumbass logic that there's a space-time continuum and that things change on that space-time continuum. If your argument is that the founding fathers had things a certain way and then they have this other thing a certain way that you don't like, then you're the one that's like, I'm just addressing your logic. I am pointing to your logic and showing, well, if you hold this, then you must also hold this. Venezuela is not about the oil. It's about the weapons of mass. There are no weapons of mass destruction. Biden is a stupid ass. Okay, well, I don't know what Joe Biden has anything to do with anything. No, he doesn't. I don't know who doesn't what. Sorry, I don't know who you're responding to or what. I think you're responding to somebody in the comments, but I don't know what. Lynn, why are all 1,700 items Trump is selling made in China? He does sell a lot of made in China stuff. I've noticed several items in the grocery store loader. The average price of groceries is up. I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. Like, if you use the same measure of inflation right now that you used under Trump, prices are up. You don't get to pick and choose. You don't get to say this number applied under Biden, but now it doesn't. If you want to blame Biden, do you think that maybe somebody could have gone to the store and found something that was cheaper under Biden? Would that negate inflation? Across the board, prices are up 3% year over year. Who told our ancestors to have children birth in the States or anywhere else? I don't know what that is even supposed to mean. Gas lower than ever right now. No, it's not. Yeah, let me guess. Eggs and gas. The thing about the egg prices coming down is they actually came down because we started importing eggs. Did you know that? My electric and gas went down. Okay. Electricity across the nation is up 6%. What this kind of, well, it's not down for me doesn't mean it's not, if it's not down for everybody across the board. If you're going to use inflation against Biden and say you've got to use the exact same measure when you're talking about Trump. You can't go, oh, well, I can go and I can get a stick of bubble gum for cheaper now than I could under Biden. Eggs were over $8 a dozen. I don't know if they were that much, but it's kind of irrelevant. They were up because of the avian flu. And then they came down because we got new laying hens. And then we had another bout of avian flu. And they went way back up again under Trump. Not because of Trump, but just while he was president. Then we started importing eggs and prices came down again. Not because we magically resurrected the hens. Like, not everything is directly a result of who is president. Brett gave laughy faces. I hope it's because I said something funny. Dude, definitely. Yeah, it's always got to come down to the trans and the pedo. My electric went down too. Okay, but the average price is still up 5 to 6%. The $3 Chinese Bible is $60, Lynn. Gas was lower when Obama was president. When the AI data center in your state goes live, watch your energy bill skyrocket. Yeah. I'm really concerned because in Texas we have like a lot of AI data centers, and check your laws too, because there's some, like in Texas, I believe AI data centers are protected over your home. So if it comes to either the AI data center goes down or your house loses electricity in the middle of the summer when it's 120 degrees outside, you get to die of heat stroke so that the AI data center doesn't have to shut down. They were 69 cents. Love your choice of numbers there. Trump's a communist. There's actually a lot of, like, when he's talking about mandating other countries. Anyway, there are things that Trump does that if a Democrat did them, they would be called communism. None of this is true. Like, none of this is true. This is all just made up stuff. I can't refute what's not true. Like, you made something up. Unmake it up. Gas is low. Food prices are the lowest in history. Guys, food is lower than it was under Truman. Never in the history of our country have we had to pay less for food. All those inflation reports are lies. People are we're being paid money to take money out of the store now. Even though borders were open, they still had to be checked. No, they didn't. And under Biden, do you think that they didn't check people? How do you think they had encounters? Like, what do you think encounter means? Have you thought about this? Have you thought this through? When they're being encountered, they're being encountered. Ellis Island was not the southern border. When they got off the boats, they had to sign their names. You could come over the southern border and not see anybody. But when they encountered, what do you think happens in an encounter? Like, what does even that word mean to you? Do you think when you like type these things and you're like, oh, I got him there, do you think about what you're saying? Do you really think that under Biden that they pulled back border patrol, people just rolled into the country? I live in the Midwest and you can get a job anywhere and start at $22. Okay. Trump is a commie. Now I know you're trolling. He does a lot of things that would be called communist. Trump loves unions. Yeah, right. Watch your water bill skyrocket also, Bill. Oh, with the AI, because yeah, AI uses a lot of water. Eggs have dropped down. This is true. The rest, and it's because we imported eggs. We didn't Trump didn't resurrect chickens. Rest of our food has slightly increased. Some of it a lot more than slightly. Price of beef is like way up. Again, gas prices have gas was not $1.89 in 2019. It went down during COVID because nobody was driving. You've got a point there, Kelly. Why does MAGA fear blue-haired trans in the bathroom with them? Are they that weak, or is it they're afraid they will of what they will feel? They do crash Grinder a lot. Yep, that might be it. Or maybe they're afraid, maybe they want the trans women in the men's room with them. Maybe that's what they want. They want to get the looky-loos. They want to get a little peek at the action there. See that, you know, when they're drop the drawer and go pee. 2 out of every 5 Democrats are stupid as the other 3. Uh-huh. And still smarter than you. Only liberals need to buy food. Real men grow their own stuff. Yeah, I tried to grow some cows, but I could not find any cow seeds. Sure, the new president of the United States created an insurrection to fight the loss of your guy, right? I mean, like, that's how dumb Democrats are. They actually try to overthrow their own win. Trump is, you spelled whining wrong. There's an ancient before the I. Lots of jobs picking fruit. So much logic happening. So much. It's just overwhelming. Tell them that gas prices are down because oil production is up. And international oil production. Venezuela is not about the oil, is about the weapons of mass destruction. Yeah, you already said that, and I already told you it's not. I actually don't drink coffee. I eat beef all the time, but more of a fish guy. Is the price of fish up? I don't know. Probably. What color is your hair, Skippy? And your BMI? Does it start with a 3 or a 4? Semantic word salad. Okay, so that's, I have nothing to refute what you're saying, so I'm just going to use ad hominem attacks. I'm tired of the proletariat fighting between each other over nothing. Well, I am too. And like I've said before on this show many, many, many times, this is what the rich people want. They want the poor people fighting with the poor people. They're down from 1 year ago. What is down? Prices overall, like inflation is up inflation is 3% over last year. Year over year, 3%. That means prices are up 3% from last year. Now, you can find certain items that maybe are up or down, but those are all included in that inflation. So the same inflation numbers that you use to attack Biden are also true under Trump. I don't understand how to make this more clear. Prices are up under Trump. That does not mean all the prices that are up because of Trump. Some of them most certainly are, because nothing the president can do more directly impacts the price of things than tariffs. And Donald Trump has placed tariffs on literally the entire world. So that actually makes prices go up. All MAGA and Dems can get bent. Okay. All right. MAGA doesn't understand this. Tell them that less people are working, and that's why gas prices are. Well, less people are working, and unemployment is up. If unemployment was up and inflation was at 3% under Biden, I think there would be talking about stagflation, but we're not talking about stagflation because it's not a Democrat as president. And so Fox News is not talking about stagflation every day. And it seems like every network just has to run with like Fox News runs a thing, and then MSNBC has to run a counter narrative, and then CNN has to run both narratives. We are a constant, yes. Okay, we've already been through this. If you don't know what words mean, then just look them up. I literally looked up the word for you on the internet here, like during the show. Our founder specifically spoke a pure form of democracy. That's why yeah. Well, that's not why they created the Electoral College. They created the Electoral College as part of a compromise to allow slaves. But they did want a representative democracy. Nobody is confused about this. Nobody thinks, what is that president guy? You know, like when you're talking about voting for the president, obviously you are talking about a representative democracy because you're voting for the president. Duh. A representative democracy and a republic are not exclusive to the Electoral College. There are lots of countries that have representative democracies, but not an Electoral College. Just so much. Just read a history book, please. Trump is president with the highest IQ in history, and he never met with Jeffrey Epstein. I have a feeling there was some sarcasm in that. Say democracy and trolls say republic. I swear, I think it's because they think democracy means Democrat and republic means Republican. Like that is their insight into civics. Trump stiffed paying union contractors so badly they have banned him from the building. Anyone in New York until he pays them. All right, so here's a true story. I have a friend who has a painting business in Chicago, and he's actually very good at his job and has achieved, a pretty high degree of success. So he does like a lot of the skyscrapers and stuff in Chicago. And Donald Trump actually asked him if he wanted to paint Trump Tower in Chicago, and he declined because he had heard that Donald Trump had a habit of not paying his bills. And so then he had a guy that had worked for him for like a long time and saved up some money and then started his own business. And Trump went to him and said, hey, do you want this job? And the guy said, yes. And then my friend said, no, don't do it. Do not do it. Donald Trump does not pay his bills. So the guy spent all his money, every ounce of capital he had, on the paint to get this job done. And Donald Trump never paid him. And long story short, the guy now works for my friend again. His business had to go bankrupt because Donald Trump wouldn't pay his bills. Donald Trump is a cheapskate and a freeloader. I think there was like over 2,000 lawsuits against him. He doesn't pay his bills, and when he went around the country and was getting all this, like having his little MAGA tours, he wouldn't pay his bills there either. He still owes like half the cities in the country for his little MAGA tours. He's a scumbag. Just admit it. It's not hard. Like once you accept that, embrace the notion that Donald Trump is not perfect. Name one. Like I always ask Magus, name one thing wrong with Donald Trump, and they'll be like, he's too perfect or something like that. Like they cannot actually articulate something wrong with Donald Trump, and yet we're the ones that we hate him no matter what he does. And it's like you adore him no matter what he does. He tried to overthrow the country, and you still adore him. You adore him because he tried to overthrow the country. Republicans specifically require division of power, even your own definition. No, dude, you are totally missing the boat. I'm not saying they are interchangeable. I'm saying when most people say democracy, now conventionally, they mean a representative democracy. You're talking about how there's division of power. Right now, the problem with this country is there is no balance of powers. We have a subservient Congress to the president. We don't have a 3-branch system anymore. We have a 2-party system. And it's not just starting under Trump. Every single president for like going back, I guess since Truman, has extended the executive power. And now we just have a Congress that completely acquiesces to the president. Make this guy, this idiot, the director of Health and Human, or the chief of Health and Human Services, this guy that like eats roadkill out of his freezer. It's like you can't even exaggerate that. The man eats roadkill out of his freezer, and now he is the director of the Department of Health and Human Services. He's the one that has more authority over what's healthy than anybody in the country. And he eats roadkill out of his freezer. That's how subservient Congress is to Donald Trump. So don't get on me about division of power when you're sitting there making the most authoritarian president in the history of our country, and you're like lapping him up. Sorry, dude, take a seat. You lost. I am not prove myself wrong. Dude, I read the definition to you. Gas prices are entirely down because it's winter. Blend gas increased OPEC to non-OPEC countries. Yes. Oh my goodness. They're just going to keep yelling about this. Nobody thinks we're not a constitutional republic. We're just saying a constitutional republic is a form of democracy. When you go vote, what are you doing? You're voting. Nobody, not a single person I have ever met is under the delusion that when we say we're a democracy, that means we like directly vote on every single policy. Nobody thinks that. Nobody, when they say we're a democracy, when they talked about democracy in, there's something called fallacy of etymology. And a fallacy of etymology is when you use an archaic word in its archaic meaning and you try to use that in the current expression. So when they talked about a democracy, What they meant was a pure democracy or direct democracy. When we talk about a democracy, we're talking about a form of government where you have elections and you elect for people. When you elect representatives, nobody is confused about the difference except for you, in that you think that there is one. I think Skippy is kind of half joking. I think Skippy's a character. I like Skippy. MAGA doesn't care about separation of powers. They don't understand the Electoral College. They don't understand the modern idea of democracy. They don't even give a F about the Constitution. They really don't. Like, they're the same people that are like, Trump 2028, Trump 2028, Trump 2028. The founding fathers said we're a republic, not a democracy. There you, yeah, exactly. I'm praying that you are joking. Okay. The art of a deal equals how to make money. You should try it unless you can't. He didn't even write the art of the deal, dude. And it's like, nobody, like, I don't think if you go to business class, like, people act like the art of the deal is some classic piece of work. Do you think in business school, do you think at Wharton they like make art of the deal a signed reading or something? How is it that the guy who wrote The Art of a Deal that told you how to make money bankrupted multiple casinos? He couldn't even make a casino work. That's like not knowing how to roll a ball. He tried to, yeah. So then he tried to do the whole USFL thing, and then he lost, and then so he tried to sue the NFL for having a monopoly, and the jury gave him a $1 award. That was hilarious. We don't need to vote. Trump is king. Ain't he just great? Don't you just love him? Okay, I'm hoping that was sarcasm. If we deviate from a contract, you're subject to, yeah, which is why there are thousands of lawsuits against him. But you know what? He just like keeps everything tied up in court. Most people don't have as much money as him, so they end up running out of money before they get a court date. Of course, he's subject to litigation, but he evades the actual having to pay because he evades the court. They don't. Yeah, they don't. They literally don't. You can't. They won't even admit that Joe Biden won an election. Jasmine Crockett for Senate. Man, this one. Oh man, my heart hurts. I love both Jasmine Crockett and James Tallarico. I just hope one of them wins. I don't know who I'm going to vote for yet. I do know this. I will not decide who I vote for based on who I think has the best chance of winning. I'll decide who I vote for based on who I think will be the best senator. And I'm still like, I love them both. I was hoping James Tallarico would run, and he was like the guy I wanted to run, and I was like, yes. And then he ran, and I like him better than what's his name, the guy that dropped out. He just didn't do that much for me. Allred, which I'd rather have Allred than another Republican, but I really like James Tallarico. I really like him. And I like his measured demeanor. I like everything about him. But I love Jasmine Crockett, too. I would much rather date Jasmine Crockett if I weren't married, but, not like she would date me. He doesn't think there's a difference. I don't think that there's a difference in between. Let me be clear, Lynn, because you seem to be hard of hearing. I think that when people say democracy in today's language, they mean a representative democracy. I don't think that there is a difference between a republic and what people conventionally mean when they say democracy, or even what you mean. You have no sense of understanding, buddy. We don't elect anyone electoral votes. We elect senators. The Constitution, we didn't elect senators. Under the original Constitution, we elected representatives who elect the senators, and we elected electorates who would vote for the president. But we still voted for the electorates. The electorate is still voted for based on the people. And then the people would choose the electorate, and then the electorate would go and they would cast their vote for the president based on who the people voted. Only they could overturn it if they could change their mind if they wanted to, which has been very, very rare. And in some states, it's illegal. Some states, they're obligated to vote based on who the electorate voted for. Skippy is quite a character, and I'm here for it. I'm just saying that I doubt Trump will live to see 2032. Oh, I missed that comment. Was he talking about Skippy? Was he talking about Trump 2032? Man, he'd be like 90. 2028 is a troll for fools to latch onto. Newsom for president? Wife, dude, I don't know who's gonna. I think on both sides, like I don't know who's going to run for election on either side. Who will end up being the candidate? I'd vote for Newsom over JD couch humper. Make bankruptcy fun again. Well, that's where we're headed. Oh, yeah, you're talking about the casino thing. I actually don't even like Trump. It's just so easy to get liberals worked up and just say anything about Trump. I told you, see, Skippy's not that bad. Skippy would much rather have Mussolini as president. No, they are representing their billionaire donors, not their constituents. Yes, they are. Well, depends on what you mean by their constituents. Ask them, are they rich right now? Don't forget about his vodka brand. Yeah, he did. YouTube loser thinks he is some kind of sage. Okay. I didn't know that. I don't really think of myself as an herb. TDS is tricky to dens. Yeah. Made up diseases. Bankruptcy is a strategy. There's this kind. I don't know if this is what you're alluding to, but there are some people that say that he deliberately bankrupted the casino because he was still able to make all of the money. That his accountant actually figured that out, and his accounting went to jail. So no, that's not a strategy. That's a bailout plan. You can make more money with a profitable casino than he made off of his little bankruptcy scam. You don't know business. So Pat Jager 6932 is like a business expert. I know I can't stand Trump either, but these clowns are easy. Why is it that you have to like engage in a hostility though, Len? Why can't you just engage in an honest discussion and discuss things you disagree with ideologically instead of making this, a thing about republic versus democracy when nobody goes and votes and thinks that they're voting on a pure democracy? Everybody, like people that were voting for Harris knew they were voting for a representative. It's not like we're confused about that. You're saying that I'm like explaining the difference and then saying that there isn't one. What I'm saying, and you seem to be unable to understand, is nobody is confused about the archaic difference between those two words. And that conventionally, when people talk about democracy today, they're talking about what you're thinking of when you say representative republic. Okay. Facts. I'm hoping you were quoting me. Hey, as Trump, let him live. Your two words are too big for most. All these polysyllabic words. I seriously doubt they even hear it. Like when their parents would yell at them while they ate paint chips off the windowsill. Maybe if I use their middle names. Did your mom use your middle name when she was mad at you? Kelly Allen Scaletta. His advisors told him the casino would flop in New Jersey. He wouldn't listen. What is the point of this live stream? I like to be able to engage with people and have honest discussions with people that are willing to have them. And, you know, sometimes we find them and sometimes we don't. But this particular chapter was on AI, but we seem to have lost the flow. Trump isn't extreme enough for me. Like I said, how do you feel about Mussolini, Skip? I bet you look like a Mussolini guy. That makes him smart, not a dictator. No. He's neither. I don't know what makes him smart and not a dictator. But he's acting like a dictator and he's not acting smart. King of the poopy pants. Sorry, we're a PG rated channel. They found the proof that the 20. No, they didn't. I don't want to go into all that nonsense, but no, they didn't. It's just not even worth going into. It was recounted. Like even the new proof they found would be negated by the fact that there were like a hand recount. Trump is king. Joe losing in, I don't know what court Joe lost in. Maybe you should switch to Nick Fuentes, but I hear he doesn't like women. No, this is the trans connection, I think. I think Nick Fuentes only likes trans women because he's not gay or something like that. Or I'm sorry, he likes trans women because it proves how he's not gay. Like he's so not gay, he likes trans women. All the so-called representatives on both sides are all crazy. Okay, I mean, there's an opinion. I have not personally vetted every single representative on both sides to see if they are crooked or not, and I try to avoid generalizations. The vote, no, it doesn't look dirty, because again, it was hand counted several times. Insults mean you ran off facts. Personally, never heard any facts, but okay. I don't know what insults I'm throwing out there. I'm the one being insulted mostly. People seem to, I'm scrolling past the insults. People seem to love billionaires. How about Mark Cuban? I think that I don't like the idea of running like a liberal billionaire. Here's I will say, like, related to the post from a couple of minutes ago about everybody being crooked. Here's what I don't like: the idea that you have to be wealthy to run for politics or to be a politician. I don't like the idea that you have to be independently wealthy to become president. Because then you're just steering right into the worst possible. You're steering out of the skid, or what, I don't know how to say it, but you're just like, you're never going to get out of the cycle of government for the rich people, by the rich people, and for the rich people, if all you do is elect rich people. I agree. Trump is much too much of a leftist for me. He typed TFs. I don't know what that means. TFS. I'm sorry, Brett. I don't know what that means. Lynn, I bet Texas turns blue. I'd be happy about that. I'm in Texas. This guy is a pervert. I knew it. Oh, so don't know what makes me a pervert. Unemployment is the lowest in. Okay. I think this guy is just deliberately being over the top. They should all turn, they say it would turn blue since 3016. 3016 is like almost 1,000 years away. I just put up my dislike. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your vote. Kamala didn't even win a primary. No, there wasn't primaries. We're all aware what happened with the whole thing, and you know, and that's kind of like a really irrelevant point. 2016. Okay, thank you for that correction. No, we have not. Democrats have not won a statewide office since like the 90s. I think the last person was Ann Richards or something like that. That doesn't mean that, we can't win in the future. It's already partially on its way blue from the most recent reports. There is significant evidence that there's going to be about a 12 to 15 point shift across the board to Democrats. MAGAs don't understand. There's a lot of MAGA negative reaction to the Trump presidency. And you can see that in the elections we had in 2025. Across the board, with this shift to the left, or to the Democrats. I shouldn't even say to the left, but just away from Trump. And the Democrats aren't even like that popular, like somebody pointed out. They're not that popular. But it's like, I'd rather eat spoiled fish than a bucket of poop. Like those are their choices. But I mean, at least one of them is food. Across the board, like Virginia, New Jersey, Georgia, Tennessee, even like in the election they lost in Tennessee, the margin was cut by like 12 or 13 points. There's a huge shift. So if that were static in 2025 or 2026, it's possible that the Democrats could take that statewide seat for the first time in like 30 years. And especially like I talk about the price of beef a lot. The beef farmers in Texas, which there is not an insignificant number of beef farmers here in Texas, and they have clout. They're suing Trump over the tariffs. They're really unhappy about it. Even ones that were like Trump supporters and MAGA lovers and all of that, they're not happy with this. When there's and there's a lot of rural hospitals here that are going to go under because of these Medicaid cuts. And then those hospitals are often the largest employers in these small towns where all these MAGAs live. So don't be surprised. I'm not saying it's a certainty, but I'm saying it's a realistic possibility that Texas flips. In spite of what's happened in 2016 and 2020, 2008, because every 2 years there's like either a presidential or Senate election, it seems like. Okay. Could, maybe, possibly, who knows? Red wave is coming. Okay. That's really unlikely, though. I mean, but you're entitled to believe that. We dodged a bullet by not having... Oh, come on. Why do you have to be disgusting? Prove it. Prove what? Ethan, how did you know that I don't vote? Don't be calling me out like that. Or Elton. Or Ethan, yeah. No hospitals closed. There have already been hospitals closings, dude. Because you're a child. If Trump was doing great, then Republicans would hold town halls. They certainly wouldn't be running from them. How anyone would vote? Because we like read and we're literate and we know how to think and we're grounded in reality. Those of you are a brainwashed dude. You almost had it right. You were so close. You were so close. You got the RE and you still forgot the apostrophe. Trump cried he should have won the Nobel Peace Prize. He said the job numbers were rigged and the 2020 election was stolen from him. The whole world knows he is full of poop. And he's now starting a war with Argentina because everybody that, starts wars deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. Why couldn't you have a latex barrier instead? Ooh. No rural hospitals have high numbers because none of that is true. I have no reason to cry about any any care provided to immigrants that are undocumented or compensated by the federal government, and that's actually in a different fund that wasn't cut. And this has been true since Reagan was president. This is not why there are problems with rural hospitals closing. Please understand what you're talking about before you try and engage with me again. I have no reason to cry about abortion. My state banned it and are getting ready to pass leash laws. Oh my goodness. Did you just talk about passing leash laws associated with women? Goodness gracious, you're a hell of a person. That's pretty gross, man. Leash laws. You think women deserve leashes, especially the ones that are preggers? Cry about it, Lynn. Okay. A lot of Texas cattle farmers are real mad at Trump now. His $40 billion bailout for yes, they were pissed about that. No, there weren't. That's another made up thing. Like honestly, I don't have time to go through every single bogus MAGA talking point on every single show. But no, there aren't 300,000 missing children on Biden's watch. Like just Google it. Just Google 300,000 missing children on Biden's watch. Fact check, and you'll get like 20 different fact checks that explain to you why this is not the case. I wish Democrats would start talking policy and all I ever do on this show is try and talk policy. Like right now, this whole show was to talk about policy with AI, and then all the comments come like, what policy would you go ahead? Tell me what policy would you like to discuss? So many choose. How about birth control? So many choose from, including the day after. Why wait until you have to abort? This is. Do you have any questions that are genuine? First of all, there's no such thing as an abortion the day after. The day after pills are actually preventing abortions because they're preventing conception. Like life does not begin on ejaculation. Life begins at conception. And the abortion pills, their so-called abortion pills, actually prevent conception. Number one. Number two, there's nothing wrong with abortion. You might think so in your religion, but other people don't think so. Not everybody has to live by your code of ethics. Or at least they shouldn't have to. They do. And the biker has already shown his I don't know what you're trying to say. Keep crying, Lynn. Yeah, Lynn doesn't like being told he's crying. He's crying about being told he's crying. We'll take your women. Okay. What does that mean? Don't you mean Venezuela? I don't know what you mean about Venezuela. Grammar is so important in the chat. I'm just saying. There is a real problem with MAGA and apostrophes. It's not just in the chat. It's like across the board. MAGAs hate apostrophes. I don't know why. It's YOU apostrophe RE. She already said she's going to pitch in for your GED. All right. All right. So I think that about concludes for today. I'm going to have to end about 10 minutes early because my bladder is not going to be holding up any longer. Thanks everybody for coming, and I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm doing Donald Trump's report card. I'm going to give Donald Trump a report card in 5 different categories. This will be a fun show. I'm sure all you MAGAs will especially love it. So anyway, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one.